The following program, though incredibly nerdy, is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and you probably shouldn't watch if you're an overly sensitive pussy.
The highlight. This is a message to all of you who don't believe. Alright? Ha-ha! They gon' try and bring you down. Hating's what they do, but you gotta keep a smile. Stay up on your move, live free, live free, live free, homie, live free, live free. They gon' try and tell you no, shatter all your dreams, but you gotta get up, go to bigger, better things. Live free, live free, live free, homie, live free, live free, live free, live free. Hey yo, microphone check 1 2 1 2. We good? Just had to make sure I'm coming through with the driver Ricky Bobby, more class than the college and the shine of Liberace. About time that you acknowledge that the boy here to stay, fire that begin to blaze, buzzing out my name, getting out like a triple play. Hate to tell you what you can't do, fuck that. Say there's everything you can do, but rap shit. I paint pictures with a high flow, young Picasso. Feel me? I thought so. There's people in the world that are jealous of success. Don't ever second guess yourself, step and get left. Cause we on the march, we ain't waiting for no man. You can't get distracted by haters or romance. So if you sitting trapped in defeat, get that monkey off your back, live free. They gon' try and bring you down. Hating's what they do, but you gotta keep a smile. Stay up on your move, live free, live free, live free, homie, live free, live free, live free. They gon' try and tell you no, shatter all your dreams, but you gotta get up, go to bigger, better things. Live free, live free, live free, homie, live free, live free. And everybody know I got haters like Mano, actors all phony.
Well, here we are once again. Here we are once again, and I can already see it's going to be a lovely stream. Thanks to everybody in chat. Oh, I can't wait to talk all about it. Did you guys see did you see the video I posted the night that the Steelers lost? Hang on, I'll pull this up. I'll pull this up because it is it's pretty funny. I mean, I was pretty upset. And maybe a little inebriated, you know, you never know. Pull this up. Give you a good just explain where we were at, how we were feeling.
Fucking can't do nothing on offense. The fuck are they even doing out there? These fucking bombs. Goddamn Steelers. Fucking can't do nothing on offense. The fuck are they even doing out there? These fucking bombs. Goddamn.
All right, that's enough. So yeah, I guess officially I'm that fucking guy. I'm that fucking guy that went out and got an Aaron and Aaron Steelers jersey for his last fucking game as a Steeler. The fucking got it for one goddamn guy. I had the thing. It was useful for like 6 fucking hours. I'm probably swearing too much. Sorry. Wow, that was a tough one, man. That was tough to watch. Really didn't enjoy that. Yeah, it was crazy. What, dude? Like, I couldn't fucking believe it. And then, like, you know, we got some turnovers. The defense was playing decent. Actually kept us in it for a long time. And I just couldn't believe it. Every time we got a takeaway, every time that happened, like, nothing would happen. It looked like watching a high school team play like a college team or like a professional team. Like, I've never seen so like such dominance by a defense to the point that like you couldn't move the ball basically at all. Anyway, yeah, it was that was a tough one, man. So I guess there's good and bad news. The bad news is fuck that. Shit sucks ass. And then, you know, Tomlin steps down or whatever, probably for the best for everybody involved. But the only problem with that, like, what that basically means that there's basically no way that Aaron Rodgers would return unless he follows Mike T. Wouldn't that be some shit? Anyways, so that was silly and stupid and tough. But I guess the good news for us, I guess for all of us, is that we will be doing our famous Super Bowl stream. My one way to get out of it is now dead. So yeah, so we'll be streaming on the Super Bowl. It'll be fun, man. We'll definitely have a good time. And, you know, so what we basically do is I'll have like the game on in the background and I'll kind of give some commentary on it. But for us, it's really more about the trailers and whatnot. So, you know, hopefully the Doomsday trailer thing is real. You know, maybe there's a Spider-Man trailer too, but there'll probably be some other trailers, but it's really about that Doomsday trailer. And so we will wait for the Doomsday trailer. We'll obviously react to it, and then we'll break it down. And what I'm going to do is before we do the breakdown, so we'll run it one time, and I'll just kind of like react to it, right? I'll probably freak out if we see Doctor Doom for the first time, which I think we will. And then what we'll do is before we watch it again and I do a live breakdown, I'm going to eat the spiciest wing known to man. It's going to be a chicken wing with such spicy sauce. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I can't even tell you what's in it because it's illegal. It's too hot to handle. So I'll eat that wing. I'll shove it into my face. And then as I sweat and scream and maybe cry and maybe poop, I will attempt to break the trailer down. So that'll be fun, and that should be on the Super Bowl. Yeah, who do you think is going to the Super Bowl? Oh man, that's a good question. I don't really know. I think the game against the Patriots and the Texans will be really interesting to watch. That Texans defense is obviously for real, as we all saw just a couple of days ago. So it'll be interesting to see how they go up against that offense up there, and that is probably I don't know. I would imagine the winner of that goes to the big game, and I don't really know on the NFC side of things. It feels like it's maybe a little bit more open, but we'll see. Is that Daniel's sauce? It is Daniel's sauce, man. I know who isn't going. Oh, yeah, Bubba? Why don't you enlighten the class? Why don't you tell us who is not going to the Super Bowl? Ah! All right, anyway, we do have a good show for you today, a good stream. A couple of things we got to talk about, man. There's some stuff that's on my mind. The first topic today is going to be kind of talking about some of these new leakers and scoopers and a bunch of fake leaks and fake scoops. And it's just kind of been weighing on me basically ever since Campia came out and said that he knew all of what Doomsday was. And he's like, yeah, and I know this isn't real or that's not real. And other people have been pretty persistent in trying to ask me about that on social media and get my thoughts on that. On top of that, I was already kind of in a mind state, and I was sort of already looking at what people like Majestic and James Mack had been reporting with sort of a side eye. But it's kind of gotten to a point where we need to address it, and we need to explain probably what has happened, mostly just for the most hardcore members of our own community, so that we can kind of just calibrate and realize that a lot of the stuff we thought was real might not be real. I truly believe these people led us astray. And I'm going to explain more of like what they're actually doing and why they don't really have sources. And yeah, so we'll get into all of that because I want to try to kind of get into it and make sense of it. Now, there's a little bit of guilt on my end too, because I did start covering these guys. There was like a 2 or 3 week span where I covered a lot of Majestic stuff in particular. And that was because he had been one of the people that had access to like that Scooper Discord. But we'll explain it all. I just feel bad because ultimately I think I platformed some people and I think I gave some people a boost in the Marvel community that really didn't deserve it. And unfortunately, it's left us in a place where we have some fake info. You know what I mean? There's some stuff out there that we thought was real that's probably not real. I don't even know the specifics about it. I'm kind of in the process of figuring a lot of that out. But I figured either way, we'll get into it and we'll explain it. Kind of sucks. You know, it's a little uncomfortable. There's already people really mad at me. Like, I bet you've seen some of the reactions online just from me tweeting about it. Some of these people are really upset, and, you know, that's normal. I really don't care about their feelings. I care more about being accurate. I care more about, you know, trying to discover the truth. So we'll get into that. We'll explain it. Next up, we got an official update about the Henry Cavill Warhammer stuff. Yes! We got an official update from GW, so we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go over it, and I'm going to talk about one of the worst things that Games Workshop is currently doing, and a potential friction point between Games Workshop and Henry Cavill himself. It's actually going to get a little juicy, because fuck that. Okay, anyway, we'll get into that. I want to talk a little bit about Doom and Stark, just a little bit, because this has been one of those things that's been kicked up a lot in the past couple of weeks, something that a lot of people have been bringing up to me, and wanting my take on, wanting my opinion on. And so we'll do a little bit of that. I have some thoughts and want to get specific about that. We have some updates about Venom. No Tom Hardy, but maybe Venom spinoffs. And we're going to talk about what the insiders are saying about that shit. And we'll get into all that. Then we've got a really crazy report about Dr. Doom's henchman or henchwoman. And we'll break all of that down. We'll talk about it. We can also maybe talk about Tatiana Maslany and She-Hulk and her comedy bits and all that sort of stuff too. So, you know, we'll save room for Q&A. I'll obviously address the super chats and whatever. So hopefully good show today. A lot going on. A lot of different topics to get into. Now, I do want to say, right off the bat, no stream tomorrow. And I apologize because it's a short week of streams. We're only streaming like Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. But tomorrow's a Unity Day. So I told all the Unity people, and this is just my 2026 New Year's resolution, one day a week I am dedicating to Unity. It's a Unity Day. So no YouTube stuff, no streaming stuff. I'm just working on Unity tomorrow. That's just what it's going to take, man. If I don't carve out that time, Unity will just continue to be delayed. I really need to get a handle on that thing and get that book out there. So no stream tomorrow. Friday's stream should be really juicy, really good. And next week's stream is going to be awesome, man. Next week, one of the days, I'm kind of thinking maybe Tuesday, although I'm not 100% committed to that. But one of the days next week, we are doing a stream. It's going to be in the morning, but it is going to be a members-only stream. It is going to be our first nerd EFAP. It's like an EFAP, but it's nerdy. Get it? Nerdy, fat. We're basically going to watch Iron Man 1, and we're going to go over every single frame of Iron Man 1, go really, really slowly. We're going to break it down, get recaps, but also we're going to be looking for clues, maybe story threads that could have something to do with Doomsday, something to do with what we think is going on with Tony Stark and RDJ's Doctor Doom. So that'll be next week, and we're going to be doing a lot of those this year, and next week is the first one. So that'll be really cool. We'll obviously have a bunch of regular streams as well and be going over the news and all that sort of stuff. So kicking off the year strong, man. It is, I mean, look, we're 14 days into the year. It's been a real crazy year already. I have a lot of stuff going on. I bet you have a lot of stuff going on as well. But we're off to the races here in 2026 as we get ready and prepare ourselves for Avengers Doomsday. Should be good. Should be real good. Vinny, welcome to the Nerd Vengers, brother. You are a Nerd Venger now. Ant-Man says, hey, Josh, what's your take on Tatiana's declining to return as She-Hulk? Oh, man. Should we just get into that, I guess? Let's see if we can find the comments. Because I know she made... Okay, here we go. Well, let's pull this up.
Disney has approached me to play She-Hulk again.
Okay.
Guys, I said no.
What?
Okay?
What happened?
That's because I just did. This is the facts. They're out
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
You can
Just
read
tell
the
it-
articles about it.
Tell us what happened.
I was really mad at them for letting me sue them. For kicking me out of the movie. I was just
Right.
mad. I was just general. I'm just
They
like,
took- they
woke,
took Ryan
just
Reynolds'
woke-
side on the
woke
movie.
feminist stuff.
Yeah.
And
You
so
were
I just-
upset at them trying to shove the woke agenda down our throats.
I was mad. Yeah, honestly.
With your casting.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, how dare you cast a woman in this role? That's disgusting.
I agree.
I'm embarrassed to
gross.
even be here.
So
Should be.
they came to you. What they wanted you to be the
They
star of
really
Doomsday?
wanted me to be a Doomsday Avengers style. or
And you
whatever.
just said you flat turned them.
I
turned
said,
them down.
turn them down.
You said no. I'm in Star Trek now.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is
And then
crazy.
some
And this
amounts
is
of
the
episodes.
first time this is coming out. This is the first time you're
No, this
confirming
came out. This
came out already, but
Yeah.
you're confirming it.
I'm confirming it here. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened to this world? Now, a couple of questions. What's your impression of that, chat? Like, what do you think? You think she's like dead ass, as the kids say? Or do you think she's maybe fooling a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of jokes? What do you think? What do you think? Oh, the internet. Oh, it's another lovely day here on the internet. Happy to be here. I keep telling myself, I'm rich too. Someone needs to tell my bank account. Okay. Honestly, I don't care. Yep. 100% joke, and nothing of value was lost. Either way, we don't want her in the MCU. No one wants her in this movie anyway. LOL. Probably fired and doesn't want to admit it. Okay, that's an interesting take. I think she's the future of the MCU and Miss Marvel. Yeah, I think she's talking an awful lot for someone who just signed an NDA. Okay, so look, my impression of this is that she's sort of having fun with it, and she's even potentially taking aim at like the rumor mill and, probably Mike Zero, to be honest. And look, guys, Mike Zero is fucking ridiculous. Okay, it's a ridiculous motherfucker. Okay, he must have been sitting in front of that dartboard for 10 years, and I think before he put that camera on, a couple of them darts hit him right in the fucking dome, because this dude has problems. Okay, it's weird that we live in a world where that's not obvious, right? Where this guy gets hundreds of thousands of views, and this guy's content gets spread around via Facebook and all of these other channels of whatever. And it's just it's a sad state of affairs, but that's what's going on. And so I think that Tatiana is sort of having fun with the situation. And the situation is that a whole bunch of people are making shit up about her situation with Marvel Studios. Now, look, there's some things she could have said there that actually would have made me think, like, oh, shit, she's being serious. But I didn't hear any of those things. I would tell you that right now, as far as from the reliable people that are out there, she's not currently in this movie at all. And the plan is either to add her in via additional photography, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks here, or they're going to just have her in the Secret Wars movie, or they won't. I don't think this means any fucking thing. I don't think you could take these comments and say it means for sure she's in the film and she's fine as She-Hulk. Some people are saying that, but I don't think any of that what just happened in this interview indicates that at all. I also don't think it indicates that she's being fired at all. Look, She-Hulk was a very by the way, this is not the first time that Tatiana Maslany has spoken out about this. One time she said, I don't think I'm coming back. I think we used up all our budget. Like she said, she made some comments like that in the past too. Look, if I were Marvel Studios, I would attempt to rehabilitate the character. You don't have to necessarily go away from Tatiana Maslany, but I think if like what you are, if you're really dedicated to the idea of She-Hulk being some kind of a lightning rod for controversy and being this like crazy feminist character that rocks the boat and makes the fanboys mad and then makes fun of them for being mad and shit like that. I don't know. Maybe there is an audience for that, but I wouldn't necessarily make her then the face of the MCU, right? Like, I don't think you can have it both ways. I think if that's what you want to do with the character, you have to understand that that's just not going to be an incredibly popular thing with a lot of fans. And I think that you can just look at the She-Hulk show and see that. But I think there's a lot of ways to look at just other IPs, other franchises, and other examples of how this is not working. This kind of thing is not, it's not working. And what I've heard and what I believe is that at some level, Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios are aware of this, right? So at some level, they are aware that maybe they shouldn't lean into this. Maybe they shouldn't hire folks that have these beliefs or whatever. Now, it's Hollywood, and I don't know. I guess we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, the She-Hulk thing is really, really interesting. Like a couple of weeks ago, maybe months ago at this point, like you guys just wanted to talk about She-Hulk so much, and I couldn't fucking believe it, dude, because there was all this other like cool rumors out there. Like frankly, who gives a shit if She-Hulk's in this movie or not? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'd fall on the side of not wanting her in the film. But ultimately, like, I just really don't care. There's other things that are so much more important. And the reality is, even if she is in this movie, she's probably going to get killed or messed up or something, right? So, yeah, this isn't about She-Hulk to me. But, yeah, I don't know. Thoughts, questions, comments. Darkest Timeline says, the Texans' defense has me nervous for my glorious king, Drake May. Pat's 7th Super Bowl and Doomsday trailer would be an all-time great day. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff I like about the Patriots organization. I've been to Foxborough and stuff, but I don't know, man. I really don't like the Patriots. I really don't like the Patriots. As first of all, you know, y'all are cheaters, and I guess you could say, like, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, but y'all really be trying. And look, as sort of growing up as a Steeler fan in the era of, like, you know, Polamalu and Roethlisberger and all of them, like, bro, we hated you guys, and the matchups, we would always meet each other in the playoffs. But at the same time, man, fuck Houston, fuck the Texans. I don't know. Is there a way you guys can both lose this Sunday or Saturday or whenever you're playing? That's what I would like. Thank you for the super chat, though. Appreciate it. Hey, my guitar can beat up your guitar. Is that a satisfactory explanation of the? Oh wait, you weren't even the guy that asked that. All right, let me catch up on some of these super chats here, and then we'll get into the topics here. Zach says, much love, Nerd Avengers. Great video, Josh. I hope we still get Cyclops going hard in the movie. Yeah, no, I think we will, brother, and thank you for the support. Rossi says, now only if we can get Daisy ready to decline playing Ray Palpatine, we'll be cooking with gas. Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Still kind of keeping an eye out on the Kathleen Kennedy situation, huh? You know? And especially, you know, Rossi's super chat makes me really think of that, because, oh my God, do I want to shove it in Rossi's face so bad and be like, see, I told you it was real, motherfucker. But I guess, I don't know, we're halfway through the week. We're still looking out. No signs, right? No signs? No signs? I know they posted a video, welcome to Lucasfilm, and Dave Filoni closed out the vid. There's actually a story that just broke about how there's going to be some changes happening to the Star Wars stuff in the Disney parks, playing John Williams music, putting Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Leia in the park. What a fucking novel idea. So there's some changes happening at Lucasfilm, but so far, I mean, is Kathy still there? Kathy? I think she's still there for now, so we'll see, but appreciate you, Rossi. Daredevil Monk says, what's your prediction for Daredevil Born Again Season 2? Do you think we'll get to see Spider-Man or Doomsday Secret Wars links? No. But I will say, here's what I think is going on. No, I don't think you're getting any juice like that, but I think there's going to be a lot of badass Daredevil shit. Probably a lot of ninja shit, hopefully. Maybe some setup for, like, The Hand and what they're potentially trying to do in New York. And I think that'll lead into some stuff maybe in the Punisher series and then eventually into Spider-Man Brand New Day. Because one of the things that's kind of come out over the last few weeks is that The Hand is going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. They're wearing their red stuff. They're going to be very traditional Hand. If we get some Hand stuff in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and then we get the Hand stuff paid off in Spider-Man, that's enough for me. I don't know that either one of those characters are going to show up in the other project. So I don't think Spider-Man is going to show up in Daredevil. That would be sick. And I don't think Daredevil is going to show up in Spider-Man, although that would be sick. I've heard Daredevil maybe in Secret Wars. And because maybe no Tom Holland Spider-Man in Secret Wars, you can start to see why maybe they won't be together. But yeah, appreciate the question, man. Thank you for the 5. Let's see here. My Guitar can beat up your guitar says, have you heard about Spider-Man rumor? Do you think, if true, might get doppelganger in Secret Wars? I'm not sure what rumor you're referring to, brother. You've got to get a little more specific. Rossi says, how do you feel about Tomlin leaving? Okay, so that's a good question. Look, my thoughts on this are nuanced, right? I mean, look, at the end of the day, Cowher won one Super Bowl. Tomlin won one Super Bowl. Now, the knock on Tomlin will always kind of be that he won a Super Bowl with kind of like Cowher's squad, basically, but he still coached that team to a Super Bowl victory. And there's only so many coaches that have done that, and some of the great coaches have only done that once, right? Every player speaks like every player that's played with Tomlin speaks incredibly positive of this guy. And there's definitely something to that, and I think there's something beautiful about that, right? However, I think I was just talking to my buddy about this. We were playing Arc Raiders, coping with the Steelers' loss, right? And like, I gotta be honest with you, man. While that's really cool and really good in a lot of ways, like, I don't know too many of the players that played for Bill Belichick that would have said that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we hear too many players being like, Bill Belichick was like a father figure to me. He really, like, it was more than football. Like, he really helped me through life, and I loved playing for this guy, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think too many of, and I don't know, maybe that is a thing, but I haven't really seen that narrative, right? And it makes you think like, okay, well, maybe there's a difference, and maybe the quality of being a coach in the sense of like leading to victories and actually getting Super Bowls isn't the same thing as like your players really liking you and liking to play for you. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's coming across, but like, I'd rather have Caesar. Like, I don't really need to know that the players are like really glad to play for a guy. I want wins. I want playoff wins. I want championships. So that's kind of my all-encompassing thoughts about it. It's like, how can I be respectful and gracious for what Tomlin did, because he did a lot for the team and a lot for the city, while also holding the team to a standard that he was not, in my opinion, was not able to get to. Does that make sense? Okay, couple more supers, and then we're gonna get back into it. We got topics. We got topics to get into. James says, my wife and I are expecting our first child in August. I'm happy, nervous, scared, and excited. Love your videos, Josh. God is good. Amen, brother. And thank you so much. Look, here's the thing that's great about having kids. And a lot of people have kids and they plan for them. There's some parents, man, I feel so bad for these parents that are trying to have kids and they try for years and years and years and they cannot have kids, right? And then there's some parents that the kid is somewhat unexpected, right? And it's not a planned thing. To me, having a kid, and this is what it was for me, is the ultimate hero's journey. You look at the hero's journey, and the hero's journey is like, it starts off with you're just kind of ordinary and things are regular and you're just going along in your life. And then there's a call to action, right? There's something really bad that happens, something or something that you cannot change, a big consequential thing that's happening. And it's this call to action. To me, having kids was like the ultimate call to action. It was the ultimate, like, you have to step up and be the hero now, And I mean that like quite literally. Like, it actually makes a biological shift in you, but it also makes this kind of shift of perspective where you're really not, it's crazy. You're really not doing it for you anymore. You're doing it for these other little human beings. And there's a thing like, so, I consider myself to be a person that has a lot of willpower. I am driven and just naturally want to do things, and I don't like being told no. I don't like being underestimated, all of these different things that are innate to my personality. But willpower has a limit. Your drive and motivation has a limit. And the thing that's weird about motivation is it almost feels like it's never there when you need it most. But I think what has no limit is love. and the pull to a thing from love is maybe not as like always as palpable and intense as what like willpower or anger or some of these other emotions can be. But I tell you, man, it is more resilient. It is going to be able to move you on days that motivation is not going to be able to move you. So look, I personally think, and you know, it's different strokes, different folks, but I think having kids is the best thing I've ever done. And it's the most beautiful part of my life, 100%. So you're about to go on a crazy journey, man. Congratulations. Oh, wow, Trev, that is so cool, man. So Trev says, speaking of kids, during this stream, Ty got his college acceptance. That is a big deal. Congratulations to Ty, man. Big deal. And congratulations to you, Dad. You done good. I'm totally down for the hand, face, or whatever. What the hell? Appreciate you, Rossi. Thanks for that. Randon Luma says the $5 holla. So you want to shove it in Rossi's face and there will be hand stuff? What is going on with this stream? What the fuck? Did I say it wrong? Did I have a slip of the tongue? What's going on in here? CEO with a 5-spot, appreciate you, brother, says, any early predictions or hopes on who you think will die for good, will come back, and who you think will go unscathed in the next 2 movies? All right, let me try to break this down. That's a lot, brother. You got a lot out of that $5. You got a lot. I've seen motherfuckers spend $20, and I don't even know what they're saying. You just hit me with like 3 things. Okay, who will die for good, who will come back, and who you think will go unscathed in the next 2 movies? Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, let's start with unscathed. She-Hulk for sure, man. You kidding me? Are you kidding me? We need that She-Hulk, man. No, I don't know. Probably, I would say Shang-Chi. For some reason, I think Benedict Cumberbatch goes unscathed. And we've kind of already heard that they have plans for sequels, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say Shang-Chi. I would say Doc Strange. Totally unscathed, like completely unscathed, man? Like totally, completely, man? I don't know. As far as who will die for good, She-Hulk for sure, man. Get her out of here. Mike Zero was right. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably the best I can do. I apologize, but I would say most people will die and come back. The way I would answer it is most people will die and come back. And then the people that come back recasted, do you consider that to be them coming back, or do you think that's permanent death? I think you're getting some recasts. Will anybody have permanent death? Maybe like the Fox versions of the X-Men? Yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky question. That is a tricky question. What? We've been going for 30 minutes? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Okay, can we talk about these fake-ass scoopers and leakers and everything, man? Just a little bit here. Let's just a little bit, okay? And I know some of you are watching, you're gonna get all butthurt, but just relax for a second, all right? Oh. Okay, so first off, man, I gotta apologize and I gotta hold an L. And man, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing it. This is me not liking holding the L. And you know what I really don't like? Maybe even more than holding the L? I really don't like being handed an L by that snarky ass motherfucker John Campea. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. All due respect, John. Okay? Wouldn't even be doing what I'm doing without you. And Schnepp, mostly Schnepp. But you two, and obviously John Campea has done a lot, and blah, blah, blah. All the due fucking respect, but god damn, I don't like this motherfucker. I shouldn't say I don't like him. I just don't like the attitude, the snarkiness, the cockiness, and all that sort of stuff. Some of you are probably watching this like, yeah, the same. That we feel the same of you. The point is, last week, John Campea made a, well, I think it was in a stream, but it got clipped out a lot. I know for sure it got clipped out because y'all keep sending me the clip and keep tagging me in the clip. And this is after John and Robert Meyer Burnett had been contacted by a source that had told them everything that was in the Doomsday film. Okay? And one of the comments that Mr. Campea made during this segment was that he's like, yeah, so now I know all of it, and that's funny because I can say that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. And apparently he's either doubling down on this or y'all won't let it go because you keep tagging me about it. You keep talking to me about it on social media. I think what John is referring to is the fact that some established rumors, some established leaks, things that a lot of people in this community consider to be real are probably not real, or the more correct way to say it is they're contradicting with what can't be heard, right? And this did kind of give me pause, and I had to think about this, and unfortunately, it also, like, what my instincts are telling me in this moment, and as I've been kind of thinking about this for the past couple of days, is that I think John is right. And I also think that I played a role in this, and I think it was basically listening to the new scoopers, mostly James Mack and Majestic. Okay? CEO, hey, I appreciate it. Y'all right, that was a long one, almost $500 worth. I would agree with that. It's very close to $500 worth. So anyway, listen. I'm not trying to be rude to these people. I'm not trying to like end their career or whatever, right? But I think maybe if I just say it from the perspective of me and where I fucked up, it'll make sense. There was a moment where some of these new scoopers got access to the Discord, which seemed to be the scooper Discord, where all the leakers and scoopers hung out and where they would get all these info drops from like their best source. Okay. Do y'all remember that? Can we just start there? Right. A lot of you probably remember this. And the thing about that is there was a time where I was like, oh man, that's wild. I can't believe this. So I'm going to start believing these people that have access to this Discord. Now, one of the things I was told that's really weird, and there's stuff going on that I don't necessarily even understand. There's some fuckery about, for sure. I was told by some people that the scoopers let those people into the Discord, and that at one point scoopers like Alex Perez, and again, I don't know, I haven't actually talked to Alex about this, but what I was told was that like people like Majestic or James Mackweld were getting permission from Alex and others to reveal some of the stuff that was there on that Discord. That's an angle that I just don't understand, and I almost feel like the scoopers themselves weren't sure about this info, and they wanted to disseminate it through unusual channels to cover their ass. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But either way, what happened was we started to report on what those people were saying, and man, they just didn't stop talking. It was like every day James Mack or Majestic had some new crazy shit to say. And I'm like you. I'm excited about this movie. I want there to be crazy, hyped up, fun things in the movie. And when people talk about the fun, hyped up things that are in the movie, I want to believe them. And frankly, I think that's where a lot of these people are, right? So I think that's probably where Majestic is at, where he's like, I think this guy's just a fan, basically. And maybe a chronically online fan that's a little neurodivergent, like we all are, right? But what I'm saying is, like, I am fairly confident that the people like James Mackwell and the people like Majestics, they don't actually have any sources. They certainly don't have sources outside of like Alex and that Discord and the scooping cabal. And just as like one example, like I was literally talking to Majestic, who's like, he's all butthurt now that I'm saying all this stuff. But I was literally talking to him in the DMs, and I brought up one of his more recent posts about how I think he said like Thor, Ant-Man, Shuri, and some other character are all hanging out with the TVA or something, right? And I asked some really good people about that, and they said, that's not true. Like, part of it's true, but it's not 100% true. And then when I asked Majestic, like, where he got that info, do you know what he told me? He told me he found people on Reddit talking about it. And he thought, like, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know for a fact that some of the people that are in this new scooping community, even the guys like GeekyCast, one of the things they do is they try to find these really obscure either 4chan posts or Reddit posts that appear to be like way ahead of the game. And then they're like, oh shit, this person said this, and because somehow they believe that's what like Alex is doing, or that's what Shine is doing, or that's what Daniel's doing. And so like I actually know for a fact that that's basically what a lot of these people are doing. Okay? So look, man, I think at the end of the day, I fucked up. I fucked up, and there was like a 3-week period where I covered all of these people pretty extensively, and this was like I'm telling you right now that there's stuff we believe that is in this movie that is not in this movie at all. The problem is a lot of it's so close to what's really in the film that I could see why maybe some people aren't just outright debunking some of this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, like, I'm fairly confident, and yes, a little bit of this does, like, frankly come from John and his sort of new stance on it. But also, like, dude, I just know for sure what's going on with, like, Majestic, James Mack, and some of these other people. Now, look, Geeky claims to have, like, actual sources and some news sources and shit like that. If he does, we'll know for sure. We don't have to, like, guess. If people are reliable and have actual sources, that will come to light over time. So some of these people will literally get in my DMs and get upset with me because I only keep talking about like Alex and Snyder and Daniel and Shine, right? And they're literally mad. But what they don't understand is like, yeah, that's because it's been years. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I know this group of people has actual sources, gets actual information. And they're not perfect because nobody's perfect, but I know they have actual sources and they're actually out here talking. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean for us as a fandom? Well, I guess it means we have to recalibrate. We have to consider that some of the stuff we thought was going to be in this film is not in this film. And I think probably just got to try to have fun with it and try to look for what's real. Lean on the reliable people. Consider what they are saying. Even they can be wrong. Take it all with a grain of salt. Try to make sense of it the best that you can. And I think that the other thing, too, is that I believe John is likely right in the sense that the actual leaks will come out fairly soon. We'll know in the next couple of months. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's that. I think that's worth saying. I wanted to do that, and I can address any questions or ideas that you have about that. Shots fired at Chad. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he will think these are shots fired at him, but like I have no choice but to just be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I know how some of these people operate, and I know that they will literally go on Reddit and like look for something that they think is like close to what others are saying, but like this person might be an actual person that's ahead of everybody else, and then they like take it for fact. Like, I know for sure that's some shit they're doing. Okay? So I'm not trying to throw any shade. I just got to be honest, man. Like, I just got to be honest. And the reality of it is there's a lot of clout and clicks and, yes, money in covering scoops and in covering Marvel. Okay? For sure. And I totally get that. And I think some people just want to be a part of the party. And over the past couple of weeks, like when there were things leaking out about the trailers, there was a lot of like new scoopers on the scene, a lot of new people. Guys, how many of those people got shit wrong even in the last 4 weeks? Because they don't have sources. They got sent stuff. They don't have sources. I'm just trying to be honest. Like, that's what it is like what was going on then. Think about it like this. At the tippity top of the Marvel Studios creative whatever, there are people that make decisions. And then as things happen and are actually put into production, are actually shot, edited, distributed, the amount of folks that gain access to those things increases. And so one of two things happened when the trailers were leaking. Either some people outside of the regular scooping cabal had stuff sent to them and leaked because, yes, there were more people than ever that had access to that information, to those trailers. Or the actual cabal leaked it to those other people so that they didn't get in trouble. Isn't that obvious? Isn't that obvious? That's what happened. And so, look, as far as I'm concerned, none of these new scoopers have sources. If they do, we'll find out. It would be obvious. Right? So that's where it's at. I don't even like doing segments like this, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, part of why I'm out here doing this, part of out here why I'm saying this, is because I played a role. I'm not really here to shit on these people. I'm here to shit on myself. This is a self-shitting. I'm shitting all over myself because I fucked up. I allowed myself to go outside of the normal sense-making apparatus that I've used pretty much ironclad for years. And we got bamboozled. Like, that's what it is. We got bamboozled. Okay. Any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? Sorry I'm late, gang. Just got my hair cut. Excited to talk Doomsday Nerdvengers for life. Appreciate you, brother. How's the cut looking? Barber, do a good job. You feeling good? Feeling good? This ain't a we. Wait, what? Why are you apologizing? LOL, everyone you've covered has been wrong. You've been just as right as the main scoopers. Well, therein lies the issue, actually. That is a good question, but like that's why I'm apologizing, is like I've done pretty good, and unfortunately, I allowed the good... How do I say this? I allowed my rep, and I allowed the good work that I had done to be used to boost others and to maybe put fake information out there. And I feel bad about that. That's basically what it is. Any truth to Henry Cavill as Beyonder? No, I don't think so. Like, where does that even come from? Like, let's just be real. Like, where's that report coming from? Is it coming from one of the very few folks out there that actually have sources that we just talked about? Or is it coming from like a Mike Zero or a Majestic or a this person or a that person? Where's that report coming from? Josh once thought he was wrong, but he was just mistaken. Wait, what? Yeah, totally, dude. I'm pretty sure he's Wolverine. I'm pretty sure he's working on that Warhammer show, and he better be, goddammit, as we're going to talk about it in just a little bit here. At least you're able to come to terms with the issue. Most other scoopers will just brush it off and never show accountability. I don't know, man. I mean, look, I can't speak for these people. I don't necessarily want to speak for these people. I just think that, like, I just have to be as honest as I can about it and talk about when I fucked up and all that sort of stuff. I mean, look, the thing that's wild, and this is actually something Majestic told me in the comments, they're in our DMs, and I was just like, wow, this dude doesn't get it. So look, if I'm right about Jean Grey, then Marvel tricked a lot of established people. Like Marvel tricked Alex Perez, potentially, at least for a little while. Marvel tricked, maybe they didn't trick Jeff Snyder, but like Marvel tricked some of these people that I just told you had incredible sources and are really reliable, right? And so if I feel as though if I'm right about Jean, and I feel as though I'm right about Jean, it's one of the best... It's like one of the best reporting, I guess, I've ever done. Because I had an instinct that it was true. And I had people telling me it's not true. And basically just from like instinct, I followed a breadcrumb trail to like actual evidence that she's Jean. And that feels good. I'm like, wow, that's like crazy. But I could have just have easily been wrong with my instinct and then stumbled into some info that showed that it was not true, right? Does that make sense? And I wish I had listened to my instinct a little bit more about some of the Majestic stuff and some of the stuff with James Mack, early on. And I don't know, because like, a lot of you guys have been around and you're there in a lot of the streams. There was a moment where I stopped covering James Mack. I actually blocked James Mack. And in fact, I've blocked Majestic as well today. But there was a time when I did say, I think they're getting a little out there. And maybe you noticed, I was like, the further this guy gets away from like what Alex and these other people are saying, the less I believe him. And there was a moment when we stopped covering his stuff as much. I wish that I had listened to my instinct much earlier on when breaking all of that down. Because I did have the instinct that some of that stuff was not real. But dude, I tell you, it just sounded so cool. Like some of the stuff sounds so cool. So like, for instance, I don't even know if Captain America and Thor are actually going out to get multiversal versions of themselves. I bet Multiversal Avengers is real. it really seems like Loki is in the scene with Steve in the house with Peggy. But I don't know that like Thor and Cap specifically actually go out and gather variants of Cap and Thor and then show up in the third act. That could be a Fugazi, right? Do you see like the difference? So I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you this, to go back to like the thing with John, right? Because let's just assume that John is correct, that he actually knows the full film, which I don't think he does, but mostly because the movie's going to change, right? There's stuff that he just doesn't know, but nobody knows right now. But let's assume that he's right. Then, hey, he's still really excited about the film. He and Robert both continue to say it's going to make $1 trillion. It's going to blow people's minds. It's maybe one of the craziest, most ambitious, wild things ever. So it's not like a multiverse of madness situation where we're like, oh, dude, all this crazy shit, like your Tom Cruise Iron Man and all this other crazy shit is not real. And instead we get like a 5-minute scene in the warehouse and Reed Richards gets his head popped and everybody's just dead. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we're in danger of like that situation again happening, but I do think we have to recalibrate. I do think we got to just be open to the fact that I think there was fake info. I think it was spread by these news scoopers, and therefore we just have to take it all with a grain of salt, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Recast She-Hulk. Look, man, I'd be down to recast She-Hulk. I think they should recast She-Hulk, and I think they should recast She-Hulk as a total smoke show. You know what I mean? Like a hilarious, just 10 total, like, supermodel hot chick that's funny, snarky, and horny as hell. You know what I mean? That's what I would do, but I don't know that that's happening. We'll see. Carol Starka is Jean. Interesting choice. All of my predictions have been Sync is Madeline Pryor, Doom Tony, and is after Cap because betrayed him and cost his family. His scars come from the snap. Yeah, maybe there could be something to that. You know what I mean? I guess what I'm going to do is over the next couple of weeks and months, I'm just going to try to be really open. You know, I think I know things about this movie. There's some things I think I know more than others. And I'm just going to try to be open, and we'll see. And also, like, let's just stop acting like out of nowhere there would be news scoopers that have incredible sources. Like, the odds of that happening, not to say that there couldn't be people like that, but the odds of that happening are so slim. That's not really how this works. Campy has a terrible taste in movies, and Rob is optimistic, even when evidence says otherwise. I don't know too much about Campy's taste in movies, to be honest. What makes you think he has a terrible taste in a movie? What movie did he like that you hated, Covenant? Wait, what? I'm orange now? Somebody said I'm orange? Is that true? What? I adjusted the lighting in here and cameras. I actually put an extra light in here. I don't know if I'm orange. Am I orange here, Chan? The hell? You know what is orange? This massive super chat here from Space Tricks. Let's fucking go. A $20 holla. A $20 holla. Won $1,500 in Vegas. Got to share the love with the boys. Sorry about the Steelers. Appreciate it, man. Also bought a new Black Templars. Ooh, F reading codex is We Crusade. $20 holla for $20. Also, unless they go page for page EU, Star Wars is screwed. Wow, you got a lot out of that 22. Damn. Okay. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. First of all, congratulations on the big win in Vegas, man. Congratulations. You know, hashtag not financial advice, but I love gambling. Look, what is this world where we're not allowed to enjoy gambling? I'm supposed to feel bad about gambling? Why? Because, like, kids are going to gamble their lunch money away? Like, what the fuck? No. Gambling is awesome. Of course, gamble responsibly. But y'all should do everything responsibly, and you never fucking will, no matter what I say. So what are we doing here? Hell yeah, congratulations on the big gambling win. That's first off. Second off, thanks for sharing the love. Black Templars are dope. We Crusade. Hell yeah. And I think you could have just saved yourself a little bit of space at the end of that super chat and just said, Star Wars is cooked. You know what I mean? I totally get the first part of it, you know, subject, predicate, but you could have just left that first part off. Appreciate you, though. Thank you, man. Mr. Rossi says, Majestic said that Heather is the true villain of Daredevil Born Again. Oh, my God. I take back everything I just said. I take back everything I just said. Majestic is the best scooper in the world, and he's 100% accurate. Let's go. Noah says, if you're wrong about Jean, can you dye your hair red? Much love, sir. What? No. No, I can't do that. Like, I literally can't do that. I'd have to bleach the hair to then get it to orange. You try orange in this hair, it's not gonna, although I could try blonde and maybe it would turn into orange. Bring back gambling for being a herb to fake scoopers. Well, look, we are gonna bring back gambling. I just said I love gambling. I love it. Never tell me the odds, but not this week. Not this week. Just relax, man. We'll get it going. Don't worry. Bro, too scared to make the bet. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Alex P confirmed months ago that Doom is from the F4 universe months ago, which puts to bed the other fake leak about Doom being married to Sue. Oh, no, you're getting shit twisted, brother. Again, and this is why, like, Connor, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you're trying to do there. I'll double check this because, as I literally just stated, I've been known to get some things wrong. But I don't think Alex ever confirmed that. I think what he said was it seemed like he was from that universe. But there's also, like, I'm telling you right now, I don't think that's what it is. The other scoop about him being married to Sue and having the kid, I believe that scoop. That didn't come from Majestic. That didn't come from James Macweld. That came from Shine, I believe. I know for sure it came from reliable folks. It didn't come from these new people. So, yeah. Yeah. Josh, I got recommended an old video of yours, and you had a crisp fade in the thumbnail, and you need to get back. That shit was so clean. Much love. Yeah, I guess so. I show me the thumbnail. Send it to me in the DMs. Sheesh. Now I need a new haircut, and I need a sick fade. Will that make you love me? Bring back gambling, call-ins, Diamond Lounge, and giveaways. We're going to bring back some of that. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's an actual source. Hard to know what's what now. It is hard to know what's what, and I'm trying to figure that out. I really should never have gone on this sort of wild goose chase of, like, listening to these new people. Yeah, no, that was probably a mistake. We'll try to get it sorted, but at the end of the day, like, the best I can do is address it and try to do better moving forward. Let's see here. Matthew says, interesting development from Disney Star Wars today. They are switching Galaxy's Edge at DL from sequels to OT starting in April. Yeah, I actually have that pulled up. Should we talk about this? You guys want to talk about it a little bit? You want to talk about a little Star Wars here? Should we talk about this a little bit? Okay, let's discuss this. This is kind of interesting. So they're making some changes. Who's they? Star Wars making some changes. Probably 10 years too late, but let's just go over it. Disney is changing part of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland Park to the original trilogy. New props and graphics will be applied to Black Spire Outpost. Darth Vader, Leia, Luke, and Han will be able to meet guests. John Williams' score will now play in the park. Okay, so on the one hand, this is good. On the other hand, is this not the greatest indictment for how badly they have fumbled this shit? Like, deadass. Like, if you would have went back in time to 2012, when all of the stuff was happening with Disney acquiring Star Wars, and you would have told me, you would have been like, I'm from the future, Josh. I'm from the year of 2026. And I'd be like, damn, it's only 2012. This is crazy. How'd Star Wars go? Well, that's what I'm here about, actually, Josh. So I'm from the year of 2026. And finally, Star Wars has changed course on Star Wars in the Disney parks. And I'm like, okay, changed course. That's kind of interesting. What do you mean? Well, they're going to have Darth Vader, Leia, Luke, and Han in the parks. I would be like, wait, what? What do you mean? It's 2012. What do you mean 12 years later, they're going to change and have the main characters of Star Wars in the Disney Star Wars parks? What the fuck happened? And then it'd be like, yeah, and guess what? Now we're going to play John Williams music in the parks. I'd probably have fainted. Like, what fucking music did they have in there? What are you talking about? It's crazy. So people are talking about this as a positive change, and it could be the case that this is something coming from the CCO and potentially the new co-president, Dave Filoni. As we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, there are reports out there, and by the way, it could be breaking. It could be happening at any moment. At any moment. It could be announced that Kathleen Kennedy is officially retiring as the president of Lucasfilm, and it could be officially revealed that Lin-Manuel Brennan and Dave Filoni will now be the co-presidents of the company, with Brennan handling all of the business stuff, Dave Filoni handling all of creative and likely being front-facing, much the same way that James Gunn is front-facing and creative over at DC Studios, right? So this was announced last week, and on Friday, because until Friday, it was really just Matthew Bellany out there reporting it, and then Jeff Snyder corroborated. I think they're both really, really good reporters, but as some of you point out, like, you don't believe them or whatever? I don't know. So anyway, on Friday night, The Hollywood Reporter put into their newsletter that these reports were true and that an announcement was imminent, that you might even see Kathleen Kennedy announce her retirement, or Lucasfilm announced that she is retiring, like as early as Monday of this week. Now, that obviously has not happened. We are into Wednesday, and that has not happened. However, just yesterday, there was a video posted on, I think it was the Star Wars YouTube channel, that was like something like, welcome to Lucasfilm, and it ends with Dave Filoni speaking about Star Wars. And a lot of folks thought, wow, putting that video out at this time with Dave being the front-facing person was really interesting. And then when you get this report about how they are changing the Star Wars parks to basically go back to George Lucas Star Wars, if you put these two things together, and I think that's where a lot of hopeful Star Wars fans are at, maybe this is a sign of things to come. Maybe Dave is taking the reins, and what he's going to do is bring back the old Star Wars. The Star Wars with Darth Vader, Han, Luke, and Leia. George Lucas Star Wars, okay? The only problem is there's going to be a bunch of Star Wars fans that are like, where's Cassian Andor? Where's the mature Darth Vader? He's silly. Luke Skywalker, I have a mug that says Luke Skywalker tears. All I care about is H2O robot guy and Cassian Andor and Luthen and bunch of bullshit over there. So I don't know. Basically what I'm saying is, like, I think this might be too late. As I've said when addressing all of this stuff with Star Wars, I really think it's cooked. And I think, look, if anybody can bring it back, it will be Dave. But right now, my stance is that Star Wars is too cooked. It is literally too cooked. And I don't think Dave is actually going to be able to turn this thing around. Maybe this stuff with the park is a sign that he could. But I still don't believe it. But anyway, that's the news. That's what's going on. Chat, what do you think is happening? And also, did Kathy officially retire yet? Did Kathy officially retire yet or not? I haven't seen it yet. No? H2O robot is my fave. Yeah, I bet. It's cooked more than the Savior on Mustafar. Yeah, it is. I think it's pretty cooked, man. I think it's pretty cooked. Watch next. They're going to reopen the Star Cruiser with the old Star Wars characters. Huh. I mean, yeah. But again, I really do think, and I'm not actually being, I don't know. I really think it's too late. Like, that's legit. I legitimately think it's too late. I mean, dude, do I feel like now going to Galaxy's Edge because they did this? Fuck no. Do any of you feel that way? I mean, maybe you do, and maybe that would be cool, right? But no. Now, here's what I would say, though. If I got dragged to Disney World as like a family trip, does this change make me more apt to actually go there? Yes. But that's it. Like, the days of me hearing some shit about the Disney Star Wars parks and like needing to go there are long gone. So not really going to do too much for me. I think it would, like, again, potentially it would make me more apt to go. If I was already there, maybe if I lived in Orlando, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, I don't really see this. Again, maybe it's just a sign of things to come, and you could take it as that, and you could maybe get optimistic about it. But look, man, I'm well past that as well. I need to see some shit, man. I need to see some shit. I think Star Wars is like, it's a sad state of affairs when it comes to Star Wars. We'll see in about 4 years when the kids start asking. You think my kids are going to ask to go to... I mean, I don't know. Maybe. You know what Liam's really into right now? And it's like so random is Pac-Man. Pac-Man, dude. Who would have thought? This kid's like loving Pac-Man. Dude, we went to the arcade and he played Pac-Man. I got him Pac-Man on his little Nintendo Switch. Now he's demanding that all the food that he eats gets turned into Pac-Man food. So we made like fried sweet potatoes, but we cut them like in the circle and cut out the little thing so that it has like the little munchy mouth or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. We don't really watch a lot of Disney stuff. You know, and I think he tried some Star Wars stuff, but he's not really into it. And it's not like I have Star Wars on, and he's getting the experience of like dad really being into Star Wars. He's not getting any of that. So I don't know. Not because of you, but because of friends, TV, etc. I think that's what Disney's kind of counting on a little bit, right? But I'm just telling you that I don't really see it, man. I don't think that's... I think it's two things. I think, number one, they've sort of lost control of all the mechanisms. You know, when it was just a few channels and then popular cable channels, like they could literally like heavily influence sort of like programming and propaganda for young people. But with the internet, I mean, dude, my kids watch YouTube. In fact, I can't even get my kids to watch a movie. It's actually kind of crazy. Like, I want to watch... I've often wanted to sit down and watch a movie with my kids. And look, the 1-year-old, she doesn't know anything that's going on. That's not true, but she doesn't know about movies and stuff. But, like, my 3-year-old, he would rather watch YouTube videos. You know what I mean? And they don't have a lot of control over that. You know, so he's going to grow up probably watching YouTube videos and social media more than anything. And I don't think Disney has control over those places, right? Now, this is actually part of why Marvel didn't die and why Marvel will probably be okay and have a chance to turn things around, because Marvel dominates social media. You know what I mean? Disney proper, though, I don't think so. Star Wars, I don't think so. I guess we'll see. Yeah. Or any video games. Wait, what? I didn't say they care about Star Wars. Want to go to the parks. MCU parks too? Yeah, that's possible. I mean, he loves Spider-Man. He loves those things. But Star Wars is like completely out of our whole thing. Yeah. Streams like yours are more interesting than movies? Oh, yeah. That's kind of an interesting thing. You know, we've talked about this a lot. I think there's something going on with people's interests. You know, I think a lot of movies these days are literally background stuff. Like, you want to put a movie on and then scroll on your phone, or, you know, talk to people on your phone or whatever, play a game on your phone. Movies, for a lot of folks, have become background entertainment. And I don't think they don't mean what they used to mean to people. And I do think if you look at like podcasts and streaming and even maybe just YouTube in general, but maybe it's just social media, like, you wouldn't be here watching this, right, if you weren't getting something out of it. And I would say, you know, maybe a measure of that is like the live and like, oh, maybe I could crash out, or you could get me triggered by a question or something like that, right? But that's real. I mean, there's real value in that. There's a tension. There's some unpredictability that is not there with a movie, right? But I think the other part is that there's something about it that's really engaging, you know? And I just think so much of our lives, we are passive or more passively engaged with what we're doing. And I think that like there's this desire out of the human psyche to then really engage with something, you know? And I think there are some movies that can do that, but by and large, I think that medium is not really interested in doing that. But I guess we'll see. Ahsoka says, Josh, first of all, we all love you. Well, not all of you, but some of you do, and I appreciate it. Thank you. If you were Bob and had to choose the CEO of Lucasfilm, who would you put there? And after putting the person there, what would Star Wars need to cover in the first 5 years? Well, it's kind of interesting because, like, within your question is the answer. Basically, like, and this is why I think when it comes to Dave taking over, I'm so skeptic of them turning it around, is like, you're kind of asking, like, if we look at the framing of your question, you're like, if you were Bob and you chose a successor, who would it be? And then you're like, and then what would they need to do to cover in the first 5 years? And I think within your question is the idea that making that choice, putting that person in charge, brings a newness, brings a change. And then the very framing of your question to speak about what they would cover in those 5 years, those first 5 years, implies a newness, a new direction, and being re-engaged. The issue is I don't see any of that happening. I feel like Dave, although he will have some new concepts and perhaps make changes to Lucasfilm overall, if he just does what Kathy laid out for them, and really what I'm talking about is the Simon Kinberg trilogy. It really all comes down to whether or not the next Star Wars trilogy is a Rey trilogy in the sequel era, or is it something else? That, to me, is the question for the brand. And so your question presupposes that we will not get that Rey trilogy, I think. So who would they need to select to be CEO? Let's just say if it wasn't going to be Dave, which I think Dave is a good choice, but Dave's the choice for like 5 years ago before everything fell apart. Dave represents too much of the sameness of Kathy's shit, basically, is what it comes down to. So who would it have been? I don't know. Duffer Brothers before they fucked up Stranger Things, maybe. I mean, who can we name anybody that's actually handling that kind of a job, or like actually making this stuff really, really pop off in a really good, exciting way? Maybe like Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. I think they're the ones that are handling like Fallout and stuff like that. Oh man, I mean, yeah, it's a I don't know the answer. I just think if you had somebody that was representing newness and there was a new plan for it, I think that's probably what the brand of Star Wars needs. And that's my biggest concern about Dave. Now, Dave could shock me. Dave could be like, you know what? We're doing Old Republic, or you know what? We are doing a trilogy. It's going to be like this, and we're going to spend 4 years working on the scripts or something, right? Like, there's ways that it could be exciting. But, it's a good question, dude. What do you guys think? Is there anybody out there that would be an incredible pick? George Lucas? I mean, yes, but George is not interested in that. Del Toro? So, like, Del Toro, like, we're talking about creative, and I think what we're really talking about is, like, who would be the person that would hire Del Toro to make a trilogy? Favreau? But Favreau's the guy that you would hire to do creative. What we're really asking is, like, who would be a president that would honor what Star Wars was, change the culture? Because I truly think Kathy, one of her biggest failings was the culture she created around in Lucasfilm. So who's going to change the culture? Who's going to understand and respect what Star Wars was, and then who would hire the right folks to do the stuff to take it in the right direction? Maybe James Cameron, frankly. You know, like maybe James Cameron. Because Cameron has produced a lot, you know what I mean? It's a very, very tough one. Feige is the obvious answer, but... Yeah, I don't even know if we're going to open up that can of worms. Philip says, Josh, my barber quit the hair game, and now I have to find a new barber. My life is over. Ooh, that's a tough one, dog. Ooh, that's a tough one there, brother. You know, you're just going to have to go around, find a nice place. Did your barber recommend anybody? Because, like, man, I had this one gal that I really, really liked. She moved. She recommended somebody else. And I was like, yo, thank you. And then I had to go find one on my own. And I just would go into shops and find people, try out a couple of different people, maybe get lucky. You know. No way I want a 71-year-old to start something. Is that how old Jimmy Cameron is? Damn. Watch Robert Meyer Burnett interview with Roy Lee. He is the perfect producer. Interesting. Okay. Oh man, yeah, I don't know. When it comes to Star Wars, guys, it's pretty tough out there. That's basically the point. Maybe this is a sign of change. If you want to believe it is, I think you could hold on to that, and it's definitely better than what was going on before. But it feels like it's a little too late. And I just don't know that Star Wars can overcome the problems it has. If it can't even, it's like if it can't really address the problems, then how's it gonna do better? You know, that's maybe the one thing. I'll end the segment on this. If I could just get it in front of Dave and ask him one question, I would literally be like, do you even realize this shit is kind of fucked? Like, hey Dave, what are your thoughts on like how Star Wars is basically dead? Like, do you not agree? Do you not see that? What do you think the actual problem? And I would love to know his answer. Unfortunately, I think that's like never going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, and boy, would I be surprised if day one, Kathy retires, and day two, Dave comes out, and in the trades, there's this big article, and he's like, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done this, fuck that, fuck this, but this we should have done more of, and this we need to double down on, and you know what I mean? Like, that would be rocking. But I can kind of get the feeling that he's going to be like, thanks, Kathy, for everything you've done for Star Wars, for George's legacy, and for my career. And it's like, sure. But none of that shit matters to me, Dave. Hey, yo, Dave. The fuck you mean, dog? Another Ray trilogy, Dave? Holy. So that's kind of what it is. We'll see. All right. Did somebody have somebody had another good question? Somebody said I got to cover Heather's question. Where, Heather? Heather will save herself and defeat Doom with Taekwondo. Oh. Okay. All right. Okay, can we get into the real reason you guys are all here? Let's get into the real reason you're all here. Let's get into the real juice, the real news, what everybody's excited about. Because we have actual updates about Henry Cavill's Warhammer Cinematic Universe. Let's go. Except, wait a minute. These aren't the most positive updates and maybe speak to a problem going on with the show. And we also got to complain about female custodians. Here we go. So, this right here is from official documentation from Games Workshop. It's a company that owns Warhammer, and they dropped some like updates the other day. And I'm just going to read right from this, and then we'll discuss what it means. So it says here, we continue to work on some exciting projects that will bring Warhammer to screens like never before. Our live action endeavor is still in development with our partners, Amazon MGM Studios, Henry Cavill, and Vertigo. It is the nature of these things to take several years, and while we wish we could tie down a release the way we can with our core business, the reality is that, as with any licensing deal, delivery is not in our control. We leave it to our partners to manage their own businesses. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Let's just read the rest of it here. It says, after a successful collaboration with Amazon MGM Studios and Blur for Secret Level, a high-end animation anthology show, we are now meeting with writers to determine our next step to continue the momentum gained from that episode. In the meantime, work is almost complete on a standalone Warhammer Age of Sigmar episode, again, for Prime Video. Now, they don't say this here. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but that's also supposedly Blur Studios as well. And in fact, I think it's the exact same team that did Secret Level, but it's maybe not a continuation of Secret Level. It is a Warhammer Age of Sigmar episode. They're going to put it on Prime Video. What are they telling you? They're basically telling you, like, yeah, we're collaborating a lot with Amazon right now. And the Cavill thing is still real. They're doing their thing. It's taken some time, but we're doing a lot of stuff to bring Warhammer to people in a way that it's never been brought before. Speaking of Secret Level, speaking of the Sigmar stuff, it says, we will update further when we have more significant milestones to share. If you'd like to see how our IP looks in digital form, you can watch our brand trailers. Warhammer Plus content requires a value for money subscription, or check out episode 5 of Secret Level over on Prime Video. Okay, so a couple of things going on in here. Okay, number one, they're saying to you that the live action endeavor is still in development. Now, as some people pointed out, because I shared this on Twitter, I shared this on our Discord, etc., etc. As people pointed out, this doesn't necessarily sound good, man. Like, they're basically saying, while we wish we could tie down a release like we do with our core business, the reality is with a licensing deal, delivery is not in our control. We leave it to our partners to manage their own business. It feels as though they're almost complaining a bit about the time that it's taking, and they're saying it's like not our fault. Okay? However, within this whole thing is another interesting element here. They're pointing out that Cavill and Vertigo and Amazon basically have the control of this thing, that they do not have the control. They're saying it is a licensing deal, which is kind of interesting to me. This was, because remember, it took 2 years for them to go from Henry Cavill first announcing this shit to then signing the deal to make it official. It wasn't even official for 2 years, okay? And that whole 2-year period with Cavill, with Vertigo, and with Amazon was negotiating the contract they are now locked in on. Okay? So there was a 2-year negotiation thing. And then when they signed that, they basically relinquished control to Cavill, Vertigo, and Amazon. They obviously still have some level of control here, but they're literally pointing out in their official update that they wish they could tie down a release and tell you about a release. And I think the truth is, like, a lot of people are just anxious for this. Some of you guys don't realize that Warhammer is the future, that it's the coolest fucking IP out there, and that it's doing things that all these other franchises are not doing, and it's the best, and we're all going to get into Warhammer. We're all going to have a goddamn great time in the next couple of years of getting into Warhammer, okay? So some of you haven't realized this, but some of you have. And in fact, some of you are anxiously awaiting this live action thing, because it will be maybe the only fucking way we can get some of these other grumpy nerd Avengers to check Warhammer out and see the light of the glorious God Emperor for themselves. I think there's a lot of people that are like, yo, when's this shit coming out? And so they're kind of addressing that, and they're putting the blame on Cavill, basically. That is kind of interesting. And so I do wonder what you guys make of that. Now, look, what I can tell you is they're working on it, but as Cavill has said, Warhammer is this incredibly ambitious, complicated IP. It is really hard to find a way to deliver all of that in a way that's digestible to normies, but in a way that also doesn't feel watered down. I think that's the trick of it. When the quality of the thing itself being so ambitious, wild, and having depth to it is the thing that makes it special, then it makes it like pretty difficult to like adapt that for an Amazon Prime audience, right? That's kind of interesting. Now, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about the worst thing that's going on for Warhammer right now, and I have to complain about this stuff. And guys, stop me if you've heard this one before, but unfortunately I have to take the side of the dude bros and the toxic males and the chuds. I'm talking about female custodies. I'm talking about modernity. And I'm talking about Henry Cavill. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but over the past 5 to 10 years, there seems to have been an effort in a lot of Hollywood adaptations and whether this be a show or a movie or hell, even a comic book. There seems to be an effort to make girl boss, female character, female empowerment stuff a centerpiece. And also, I would argue, making the counterpart to that, the competent male character, sort of diminish. Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed this or not, right? But this is a thing. Hollywood's been like real dedicated to this, okay? And unfortunately, Warhammer, which I think has for so long just existed in its own little pocket and been really true to its own lore in a way that's pretty unique. Unfortunately, modernity has come to roost within Warhammer as well. And so there's this thing coming out with like, there's female Space Marines and female Custodies. All right? So this is a thing. And from what I understand, this Friday, so just in 2 days' time, Warhammer, GW, Games Workshop and Warhammer, will reveal for the very first time actual female Adeptus Custodes models. They are going to actually introduce these minis and models to the game. Okay? And I hate it. I hate it. I think it sucks ass. Okay, I think it sucks ass. And I think that I think it really is the worst thing going on for Warhammer, and I legitimately think it's the most poorly handled thing that this company has had in many, many years. The problem is there's no reason that they did it other than modernity, and they also did this really, 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 really bad thing where they tried to gaslight their own fans into thinking that it was always a part of the lore. Like when it was first introduced, and then it's actually in one of the animations on Warhammer Plus, they tried to act like it was just always in the lore. And essentially, even the most level-headed and calm lore masters had to kind of come forward and say that's not true. And it isn't true. And that's why it's so jarring. I was just reading a Warhammer book, and this is after reading a whole trilogy that end-capped a whole 60-plus book series, which covered this time in the lore. And not one time was there ever a female Custodian ever. And then all of a sudden in the newest book, there's just one there. It's terrible. And it's literally, it is. I know a lot of people are just going to be like, nah, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. And a lot of people are going to see this as a bunch of chuds or dude bros or people that just don't like women or whatever, making a big deal out of nothing. I couldn't disagree with that more. I think that first of all, what Warhammer actually is, and just the fact that it has been able to like avoid some of these pitfalls that these other companies and IPs have really fallen into, is the fact that it's always just been kind of true to its own thing. And I think it's just like overtly masculine. You know, if I had to be honest with you, like I think that Warhammer is overtly masculine. I mean, it is a setting where there's nothing but war, nothing but brutality, and even some of its female characters are femme fatale characters. They're masculine female characters. And, you know, the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle are awesome. They are incredible. But they're also, like, inherently masculine. And I think that there's just no explanation for female Custodians other than this weird postmodern thing that they want to do to it. Okay, so, Anyway, I'm just going to kind of be on the dude bro side of this. If the female Custodian model is revealed on Friday, I'm going to say it sucks ass. I'm going to complain about it. I'm not going to like quit Warhammer. It's not like I'm going to like burn all my Warhammer shit. But yeah, for basically ever, as long as this is a thing, I will say it's the worst thing Warhammer has going on, and they should abandon it completely. Now, going back to Henry Cavill, I can't help but think that Henry specifically has something to do with this whole fucking situation, okay? Because it is pretty widely known that one of the reasons Henry Cavill leaves The Witcher is because the female showrunner of The Witcher show wanted to turn it into some kind of postmodern girl boss bullshit. That's legitimately what it was. Now, look, It's actually worse than that. It wasn't just that this happened. It was that as this was happening, and Henry Cavill, and I got to be careful about what I say here because I know intimate details about this exact situation that I cannot divulge. But what I think I could say generally is, do you guys remember all of those articles that started to come out that painted Henry Cavill as difficult and sexist? You might recall that Asmongold and some of the other big streamers started to like talk about those things and talk about those articles and like bring them up. Do you remember when this was a thing and it started to pop off? So I have it on really good authority that this was all an attempt to tarnish Cavill's name and specifically done to make him look sexist, dude, bro. I mean, they tried to say the worst possible things about this guy because one of the things that's interesting about Cavill, and this is actually, I think, why James Gunn does not like him, and this is actually why I think James Gunn and his cult of people in Hollywood actually don't like Henry, is because Henry, like, kind of doesn't play those games, and he's just going to try to be true to the lore and the source material and whatever. And he's not going to be a chud about it. But he's basically not going to play ball, okay? So, I want you to just consider a possibility. Is it possible that some folks within Games Workshop that maybe don't feel the way I feel and maybe don't like Henry Cavill and maybe heard that Henry Cavill might be doing something with Warhammer, and maybe heard that Henry Cavill's favorite faction was Custodes? Is it maybe possible that some people at a high level within Games Workshop made decisions specifically to set this thing in motion, specifically as something like a slap in the face to Henry Cavill, who they consider to be problematic and a bad ambassador for their brand? I don't know. Maybe that's possible. Is it also possible that the language used in this exact statement actually implies somewhat of a harsh truth that Games Workshop might have just figured the fuck out after a conflict with Henry Cavill himself? And what is that? That's that he's got the control now. I don't know. I don't know. What I will say is this. I don't think, like, this is just the way that I think of this, and this is the perspective that I hope Games Workshop uses, and this is what I hope happens. Because, look, at the end of the day, I don't just feel the way I feel about this. I actually watched Star Wars destroy itself over similar issues. I watched Marvel almost destroy themselves over similar issues. Like, I'm actually serious. Like, I do this for a living. I've been doing this for 9 years. I'm very plugged in. I watched this shit happen. And it was stuff like Luke Skywalker fanboy tears. It was stuff like the Force is female. It was stuff like that, which ended up in South Park levels of parody. I'm sorry, but Matt, Trey, and the South Park people, what is it? Matt Stone, Trey Parker. They're not going to come after you for nothing, dude. They're not going to do that. They're going to come after you for what you deserve. So Kathleen Kennedy literally gets to South Park levels of parody. I didn't even watch that Indiana Jones shit, but, like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, do we know what time it is? Do we know what's going on? So, like, I'm telling you right now, Disney did this, and then they acted like everybody that didn't like it was racist, sexist, and terrible. That's what created the fandom menace. That's what created the backlash. They did it to themselves, and they still haven't recovered from it. Now, luckily, Marvel is actually going the other way, I think, and they are going to be able to recover this a little bit, and there's even backlash to this, right? Like, remember when, like, they showed all the teams for Doomsday, and Grace Randolph's like, where's all the women? You know what I mean? Like, there's literally backlash to Marvel projecting change. Okay? That's the world we live in. That's like what's going on. So I can't help but look at what's going on with Cavill, look what's going on with Warhammer, look at what's going on with the female custodians, and look at all this stuff. And basically, I think there may well be a conflict here. And I would hope that this conflict doesn't, blow the whole project up and Cavill walks away and they just don't get it done. No, I hope instead he just ignores all the whack-ass bullshit they're doing, and he doesn't put a single female custodian into any of the live-action stuff, and he just ignores that they exist, because frankly, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically act like that shit doesn't exist. I'm going to just kind of put it into my mind as this weird thing that Warhammer's trying to make happen, like Fetch from Mean Girls, and I'm going to delineate between the almost 40 years of actual lore, the 600 plus novels, the thousands of articles in White Dwarf, the thousands of short stories, between what has happened since 2020 because of modernity. That's how I'm handling it and compartmentalizing it, and avoiding feeling like it's just going to be like Star Wars and Marvel again. And it's interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. Friday, I'm going to bitch and moan. Okay? But Saturday, I'll be playing with my little plastic custody dudes again. You know what I mean? Like, let's not take ourselves too seriously. At the end of the day, we're all making fake armies and shit. It's a fake world and it's fake lore and all that stuff. But I'm also very passionate about this. One of the things that drew me into Warhammer was the fact that they did care about this shit. That they did take it seriously. And for the time, they had avoided a lot of the pitfalls of, I think, making content for modern audiences. And frankly, I think a lot of people that want to put their own political agendas or their own agendas about, gender identity or whatever into some shit that was invented in 1987 that was supposed to be a war game. You know what I mean? I don't think those are simpatico. Like, I don't think that's going to work. And that's actually one of the reasons I really liked Warhammer. So, look, anyway, what is this segment about? What am I telling you? Well, I'm telling you that Games Workshop is giving you official updates about what's going on with the Henry Cavill stuff. And even they are using language that's like, hey, it's kind of their thing. We wish we had more control and we could force female custodians into this thing, but we can't. It's kind of on them, But we're probably going to force it into our animated stuff because we have more control over that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like in between the lines. And then I wanted to address, because look, man, I think this Cavill thing, like, maybe you can read between the lines some of the things I've said in this segment. Maybe you can use your imagination, fill in the gaps, and think about what I'm really trying to tell you about The Witcher, about Henry, about Hollywood, and about big companies like Games Workshop, right? So we'll see how all of this goes. Anyway, questions, comments, thoughts on that segment? What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think about that? Are you all mad? Do you get it? If they can throw it back, I don't see an issue, Josh. Jesus Christ. Yeah. No, they better throw it back. Anybody else have a comment? You went on this long soliloquy like Stephen A. Smith just to tell us the same news. How are y'all having issues like this and you ain't even out yet? Hey, look, I appreciate the comparison to Stephen A. Smith. I think he's one of the best yappers of our day and age, and he's obviously really, really entertaining. And all of those Charlie Kirk clips of him, like, having all the football success because of Stephen's comments were brilliant as well. So appreciate that. As far as what you're saying here, like, anything, here's like genuinely what I would say to you. This shit matters, dude. And getting this right is important. We are actually living through the same thing that happened with Star Wars, except what happened with Star Wars was like Michael Arndt was like, you need to take years and you need to actually come up with a full plan for the trilogy, and this is going to take time. And Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy were like, you're fired. JJ and Kasdan will write the script on the set. I don't give a fuck. And we're living in the opposite of that. We're living in the world where, like, Henry Cavill gets to say, no, actually, we will take more time. we won't get J.J. Abrams. You know what I mean? Like we're living through, and yes, it is a little frustrating, the delay and all that, right? But this is good. Trust me, this is good, man. Because, like, here's the other thing that's wild about Warhammer. A lot of ways to get this wrong. And when I say get it wrong, what I really mean is there's a lot of ways to come a little too fast and a little too hard, maybe a little premature. And then you're not going to leave the audience satisfied. Is what I'm saying making sense? Like, if you bust a little too early, if you're throwing way too much at them, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be premature. You need to leave the audience satisfied. Does that make sense? The guy who caught all them passes and sent the Lions home. That's Kirk. Yes, I know. Hey, look, I'm just joking. The memes were all over the place. What do you want me to say? Rossi says, never mind. Seems Warhammer is getting raised. God damn it. Rossi says, what if CW CEO went to Lucasfilm CEO to fix it? Oh, my God, Rossi. Woo! All right. Anyway, the main thing that I wanted to say was that in the middle of all of this shenanigans, I still have hope in Henry Cavill. And I'd like to believe, due to Henry's love of the lore, and also due to Henry being incredibly intimately aware of what these kind of people are like in Hollywood and the things they're trying to do to good fiction, I would like to believe that Cavill is going to go in a different way, that he will not just accept some of these things that, frankly, you might say, like, it's just a small part of what Warhammer is doing. It's really not that big of a deal, right? Except that it is, and fuck that. Okay? Anyway, that's the segment. That's what it is. That's what's going on. And there's your updates about Henry Cavill and Warhammer. Boom shakalaka. Oh my God. We're not even to the Marvel stuff. Can we take a little break? I feel like I need a cigarette. Roy Lee is producing Warhammer and mentions it in the Robert Meyer Burnett interview? What the fuck? Send the link, dog. Send the link, man. Yeah, I'd like to know all that. Is Cavill director or producer? So he's the producer, but he's more than the producer. Like, he has executive control over the whole thing. That's the way I understand it. Is that shirt you're wearing Doom playing chess with the X-Men? Sort of. It's the cover of Doom War, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Black Panther. Yeah. Yo, Josh, did you see Eric Voss at New Rockstars thinks Cap's child is baby Dr. Doom? Wow, wouldn't that be something? Yeah, I don't know about that. Have you been watching Fallout? I have been watching Fallout. I think Fallout's pretty good, man. I'm having a good time with Fallout. Did you just compliment Stephen A. Smith? Jesus, our country's screwed. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that me giving some praise to Stephen A. would mean the country's screwed. I thought there were other things going on that were a little bit more serious, but now that you mention it, you're absolutely right. That is clearly the thing that's taken us down. Whew. I'm sorry. My bad. More likely James Max Scoops, to be honest with you. Yeah, probably, yeah. You got to keep these things in mind. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I got to keep these things in mind, yeah. What is the Steel Man argument for not having female custodians prominent in the franchise like this? Not saying I disagree, but would like to hear your take. Look, the Steel Man for me it's actually pretty simple. There's no lore in its vast history that would suggest this is a thing. Okay? And therefore, you would need to explain why it is a thing. And this is like one of my big things was like, they didn't even try, dude. Because here's something you could have done. You could have said, after the Horus Heresy, when thousands of custodians were killed, maybe then they were more open to recruiting females as candidates for custodians because they needed more guardians and custodians, right? That would have been like an explanation. Maybe there's some new technology or maybe a way to find female candidates that offered something that male Custodes candidates did not offer. Oh, that would be really interesting and that would be cool. But no, none of that's what happened. They literally just said they've always been here. Now, what that points to is being dishonest and also trying to sort of gaslight and to me the only explanation for that is like some kind of an agenda. Like, even if you were being fair about it and being charitable, I think you'd have to admit like let's just be real, like, why do you think they're doing it? Like, why? I guess what I would ask you, like, why do you think they're doing it? Like, what's the explanation for doing it? Because, like, maybe you'd say, well, we need more female Custodes fans. It's like, but there's already entire factions that are female. And in fact, the Custodes themselves have a whole sub-faction that is entirely female. The Sisters of Silence are all females. And they're literally the companions of the Adeptus Custodes. So there's no explanation given in the lore. That in and of itself is a mark against it, because that's a part of what makes Warhammer great, is that everything had like a deep, like, it's all building off of what has come before. This does not build off of what came before. And so therefore, I have to just call it as I see it. And what do I see it as? I see it as the same thing of wanting to make She-Hulk like ultra feminist and super feminist, which there's even more precedence for that. To be honest with you, that even makes more sense. There's more comic book precedence for something like that than female Custodes, right? This is the scene in Endgame where all the gals get together. We're like, don't worry, she's not alone, Peter Parker, and all that sort of stuff, right? This is making the Scarlet Scarab at the end of Moon Knight have powers and be equal and frankly more competent than even Moon Knight himself in his own show. This is the Hawkeye show having Echo, Kate Bishop, and Yelena Belova play more important roles and be more integral to the plot than Hawkeye himself in the Hawkeye show. This is the same bullshit we've seen operating in a lot of spaces for the past 5 years. And basically, I don't like that. Right? So, yeah. That's why. The worst one is Miss Marvel being a mutant. I don't think that's the worst one, but yeah, if that's the one you don't like, then yeah, sure. But this is after Marvel went on a generational run, y'all trying to make y'all's first script. Yeah, no, there's something to that for sure. But at the end of the day, it's the homie was asking me, like, what's the Steelman for this not being okay? Well, the Steelman is that this does not come from a place of lore-loving writers that are doing something because there is a draw in the story or there's a reason within the lore or the canon. That's not what this is, and there's zero evidence that that's what it is. And therefore, we have to reject it. I mean, you don't have to. You could, because here's the other thing. I think that this is actually equally okay as a take. If you just think, well, fuck it, dude, it's Warhammer, it's all fake, it's fiction, and I'm really more about the models and having fun and playing, and I don't care if there's some big muscle mommies wearing all golden armor. That's an acceptable answer. But I just get to tell you, oh, I just feel differently. And frankly, I would ask that person, and here's like where it gets tricky with the business side of things. I would ask that person, right? Because I bet there's people like this. And there's probably a lot of people like this in the Warhammer community, because Warhammer's probably filled with chuds, but it's also probably filled with people that want to get under the skin of the chuds, that want the chuds to be mad. And why do I think that is? Because that's just the world we live in. That's just like what happens, right? And so there's probably a bunch of people out there that actually like are excited about this, and they want people like me to be mad. And they want us to be like butthurt about it or whatever, right? But is that really a good reason to do a thing? Is that really how you as a business should be handling that, because what I would argue is those same people, if they're already fans of Warhammer, they liked it before you did this. So you don't need, like, by changing it, you're not, what are you going to do? They're going to buy even more? Maybe. But what I'm saying is, like, you're going to piss off people like me, and the other folks probably would have been fine. They would have been chill. They would have had their Sisters of Silence. They would have had their Sister of Battle or whatever. So I think it's just like a really bad business move, because you're bringing in unneeded conflict. And then the worst thing you can do, and this is why, like, I think when I say this is the worst thing GW has going on, it's because they're seemingly falling for the same trap that Lucasfilm did and that Marvel did. And that trap is all the people that are complaining about this are wrong think bad people. And if they really fall into that trap, they will do serious damage to their brand. Does that make sense? Warhammer sucks. I don't think so, but all right. Yeah, it's I legitimately think it's the worst thing they have going on. It is the worst thing they have going on. Irish Johnny B, thanks, man, appreciate it. And it's like the question then is like, okay, so what do you do as a fan? Like, what should you do in that instance? Well, I think it's like, say shit like I'm saying, act the way I'm acting, like 10 toes down. I don't like this shit. I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm not trying to be like GW going woke and now they're going to go broke. I'm not going to make content about it, although I guess I kind of am right now. But what I mean is I'm not going to do what I've seen others do, which is to grift off of it. So what does the grifting look like? Well, the grifting looks like making 13 videos in a row about how Cavill's leaving the project because of this. Cavill sees Games Workshop going woke and he's getting out. And I've seen other people, anti-woke people, make years of content around that. And I think that's disingenuous. I think that's bad for discourse. I think that is stupid. And I don't think that's the right way to do it. I don't think that's a good thing to do. But I also think it's okay to be like, yeah, I really don't like this. I do think it represents modernity. I do think the wrong kind of people are trying to push an agenda here. And I just personally don't want you to do this. As a paying customer, and my God, have I paid over the last couple of years when it comes to Warhammer, I think it's okay that I come forward and say, hey, I don't like this. I don't want this. And I think it's bad. And frankly, GW, if there are enough fans that are saying that, should fucking listen. How's that? Like, come on. What are we talking about here? Of course they should. Of course they should. What would be the logic of them ignoring those voices and doubling down? Like, what would be the logic of that? There is no logic to that. So I really hope they don't do that shit. Okay, anyway. Let's talk about Venom. And then we'll talk about the Doomsday stuff, okay? And then we'll talk about the Doomsday stuff. So something really interesting happened after our show on Monday. And let me try to find this, because if you'll recall, guys, we were sort of talking about Venom. We were talking about Sony. We were talking about Marvel. And we were talking about some of the potential coming changes. And literally, later that day, Alex Mother-loving Perez, who is reliable, who has sources, posted this in response to Tom Hardy as Venom in the plan. He says, not in the cards anymore from what I understand. He's quote tweeting this guy, Tom Hardy Venom will return. And Alex says, not in the cards anymore from what I understand. While the symbiote will continue to have a presence in Brand New Day, it'll eventually seek out a new host. Man, that's so cool. Because of what we were talking about on Monday with Venom and then getting this confirmation from Alex, it feels like we were on it on Monday. It's nice to have the confirmation, and basically, you're not going to get Tom Hardy Venom anymore. Interesting. Now, remember, one of the things we were talking about was all these reports Daniel had put out on Friday, where Daniel was like, yeah, Sony and Marvel, it's different. Sony's more open to having Marvel share more characters. Sony's probably done with a lot of their spin-off stuff. And then maybe in line with that was also Venom and an MCU Venom. Okay? Now, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about this. However, this guy, the redacted guy, also kind of chimed in here And he was talking about this as well. And he was kind of in the same vein that we were doing, that Alex was doing, that Dana was doing on Friday. We're all kind of talking about this thing, sharing the different things that we have heard. And that's great, because that kind of gives us, a narrative. But this right here is kind of interesting. So the redacted guy says, forgot to specify a certain aspect of the new Sony Marvel deal. Not every Spider-Man character will get a spin-off film. That's unrealistic and logically doesn't make any sense. Venom is the only one who will get more spin-offs at the moment. The new deal allows Marvel to utilize the Spider-Man IP throughout all their projects. So you could see more Spider-Man street tier villains appear in shows like Daredevil. That's really interesting. Or see villains like Kraven appear in something like Black Panther. Those are just examples and not scoops. Spider-Man related characters appear in countless other character stories, and that's going to happen in the MCU. Now, that's kind of cool, but we got to break this down from a couple of different perspectives, and we're going to come to the conclusion, and we're going to come to the question of, is this guy confirming more Venom spinoffs? And I don't know. It kind of seems like he is. I don't know if I like that, and we'll get there. However, let's break down starting in the back half of this thing. So if you didn't know, guys, one of the big reasons that you can't get Spider-Man in an MCU show on Disney Plus is Sony. It's Sony. It's Sony's fault. It has to do with the license. And this is also why Sony's able to say no to certain things. So it just came out in an interview last week, or maybe it was Monday, that Ryan Coogler had actually wanted Kraven the Hunter to be in the second Black Panther film. And Sony said no, because they had their movie going on and they wanted to do that. It reminds me a little bit of and this is a little bit of a side tangent, but how many of y'all watched the old Arrow show on CW? This actually kind of reminds me of something that happened there, where they had their version of the Suicide Squad they were building up, including their version of Slade Wilson, and Deathstroke. And they ended up blowing that plan up on the CW because of the movie that was coming out. And I was like, damn, that's kind of a shame. So they blew up some of that. They were building that, and it sucks. But anyway, that is something that has happened with Sony and Marvel characters as well. I would have loved to see Kraven the Hunter done by Ryan Coogler in the MCU. Dude, Kraven is badass, dude. Kraven's awesome. I didn't even watch that, John, with Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm sorry. Maybe it's better than people say, but I didn't even watch that thing. And look, he's an animal rights activist killing trappers in that movie. Get the fuck out of here. You want to talk about modernity, right? Stupid. So that would have been really cool. And instead we got bullshit Kraven. So what he's saying here is that this new deal, which he's sort of piggybacking off of what Daniel RPK said, that there is maybe a new arrangement and that Sony is more willing to let Marvel use its characters. I think that specifically here, what he's saying is you're not going to have that stuff happen anymore. So if, I don't know, in some show or in an X-Men movie, if there's a Spider-Man villain, which what are we saying when we say that? We're saying a villain from Marvel Comics that the courts have decided, lawyers have decided, falls under the umbrella of the massive licensing deal that Sony has. Remember when Sony said they had access to over 900 Marvel characters? Well, that's due to the fact that they have this license that kind of uses this broad language, and then they can get lawyers to go in and say, so because this character was in a Spider-Man comic this many times, it's under this license for Sony, right? So now these characters are going to be more available. That's just in and of itself a win, a W. It's incredible. There's a lot of really fun Sony characters, and I think using them in interesting ways, because I don't know, some people are like, man, Jean Grey and Spider-Man would be weird. Hulk, Punisher, and Spider-Man, that's weird. To me, it's so Marvel. Marvel's, that's the draw. That's some of the juice. Is the fact that you get all these characters existing in the same universe. It's super fun, man. So I think that's awesome, and I think it'll add to just the feel of connectivity that Marvel should have, which I think they're going to really double down on in the Mutant Saga. This was something that was a big flaw for them in Phase 4 and Phase 5. There were reasons why, but that lack of cameo, that lack of connection to these different characters and stories really hurt Marvel. So I'm excited about that part. But then let's go to the first part here, right, where he's saying Venom is the only one who will get more spin-offs at the moment. What? So wait a minute. You mean to tell me that we're getting more Venom movies? I don't know if I like that. Because one of the problems with Venom was like a development and inherent, like, just concept problem at the core of the induction, the fucking idea as it popped into their brains over there. It was a bad idea because you can't do Venom without Spider-Man, dude. Are you crazy? And also, by doing Venom without Spider-Man, you're forced to make Venom the protagonist of the movie. Right? So are we just going to get like 2.0 of Tom Hardy Venom? Man, I really don't like where this is going. You're going to get like the new Venom potentially set up in the MCU, and then Sony's going to do a spinoff with that. I mean, how is this different than what we had going on before, man? I don't know if I like that. Now, here's the caveat to that, and here's what I think is actually going on. I believe it was either Alex or Daniel or both have suggested that the Venom symbiote will play a huge role in this current Spider-Man trilogy. I think the Venom symbiote will have somewhat of a subdued role in this movie, in Brand New Day, but will be involved in some way, but not like in a big way, but will be involved. And we're talking about the little Venom symbiote thing that gets dropped off in there, right? But according to these scoopers, the next two movies in this trilogy, like the one after Secret Wars with Spider-Man, heavily involving the symbiote. And that feels to me like Eddie Brock. And that feels to me like an MCU, more comic accurate, Eddie Brock and Venom versus Spider-Man story. Well, hang on, because now we're cooking a little bit. If Venom plays a pretty big role in the next two Spider-Man movies, and then after that, we do spin-offs with Venom and the new Venom, that could work, and that could be a lot more appropriate. And maybe he's a part of a team. Maybe he's doing some exile stuff. I mean, the Venom stuff goes wild with like King in Black and time travel and alternate versions of Eddie Brock and Eddie Brock's son being Venom and all sorts of stuff. Bro, it goes so crazy. It goes really, really wild. So they have a whole sandbox of stories they could play in. And yeah, they could do Lethal Protector again. They could, there's all sorts of ways they could go about doing this. But what I would imagine is we get some Venom symbiote stuff in Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I think it's really about leading into Secret Wars so that Tom Holland is in the Venom suit. And then we're going to get back into MCU. Tom Holland might not even remember Secret Wars. And then maybe the Venom symbiote, after having been on Spider-Man, finds Eddie Brock, finds that new host, and then we have the new Eddie Brock in the MCU reset thing. That's kind of what I think it is. That's what I think it's going to be. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? What are your thoughts on this? Because I want to be excited about this new arrangement between Sony and Marvel, and I see all sorts of ways it could be way better. And you're not going to get your Mobius, you're not going to get the Craven thing, and they're not going to try to make Madam Web into the new girl boss thing. So there's highlights here. The Venom spinoff kind of worries me a bit. But if we get a better Venom setup in this next movie and in the next two Spider-Man movies, then maybe it'll be okay. What are your thoughts, man? Henry Cavill is Eddie Brock. I would not mind that. I hope it's Alan, though. Yeah, Alan Ritchson as the new Venom would be great. Didn't I tell you there would be Star Wars changes in the park? You might have told me that. I don't remember. I don't remember. RC says, Campy has said that we won't find out why Doom looks like Tony until Secret Wars. Also, do you think Marvel Rivals story is any hint at how Doomsday looks? So look, man, I actually have a big video that I'm working on about that Campia thing and about Doom and the whole twist there. I guess what I'll say is, okay, I'll say two things. What John said implies that there is a reason, right? So if you look at the first clip, he says basically they don't explain it, nor should they in Doomsday. That's something they'll explain in Secret Wars. Well, if there's no reason that they look like each other, then there's nothing to explain in Secret Wars. So he's kind of hinting and suggesting that there is a reason, which is cool. But he's saying like that won't be in Secret Wars, right? Or won't be in Doomsday. It'll be in Secret Wars. The other side of it is even John could be wrong. Okay, because like here's something that could be going on. Marvel probably has a version of Doomsday right now where it's not addressed. And they also know what the connection is, and they have a cool way to address it in Secret Wars. But what if they're just looking at the movie, they're thinking about the reshoots and the additional photography, and then they just are like, you know what? Maybe we do need it in Doomsday. Maybe it adds something to the film that otherwise wouldn't be there. There's sort of a balancing act that happens when you're putting movies together. The movie comes together in the cut, as they say. So even John, like, here's what's interesting. It's like John could be correct right now, and literally in 3 weeks, Marvel decides, you know what? No, we are going to put it in there. Yeah, that could be what's going on. That's my answer to your question. You think they will show Venom in any of the trailers or try to keep it as a surprise in the movie? Oh, are you talking about for Spider-Man? I think they'll probably keep that for a surprise. I don't think they need to market Venom on top of Hulk, Punisher, and potentially Jean Grey. I'm more curious as to whether or not they'll actually talk about Sadie's character being Jean Grey, or if they're going to like leave that for the big reveal. It's probably the case that they'll leave it for the big reveal because, man, they've done a lot to try to cover the tracks of that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm hopeful, man. I'm very hopeful for a new Venom. I'm certainly just hopeful for a new arrangement between Sony and Marvel. I think that would be great. I think that is what they need. And yeah, I guess we'll just see. We'll just see how it all goes. Enter Noel. Noel as the big bad. Oh, look, here's what I would say. Here's what I would say to that. Okay, if I wouldn't be against doing Noel. Noel is awesome, but Noel literally deserves to be like a Thanos level, like a big bad, okay? Noel does not deserve to be a last minute addition to the third movie in a trilogy when you're trying to like act like you have a Thanos. Noel should have been in Venom 1, Venom 2, and Venom 3, and then ultimately had a big buildup like that. I would trust Kevin and Marvel Studios to do Noel way better than Sony. But I almost feel like Sony's attempt has made it so don't do that. Like, does that make sense? Like, I almost feel like they screwed it up so bad that it's a little bit of Star Wars. Like, you should go past Noel. You don't want any association with that stuff there. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Noel was too new for Venom 1, so I'll give them a pass. Yeah, no, I mean, it's fine, and I like that first movie. They totally get a pass. But the point I'm making is it's fine, but also then don't shoehorn in Noel. Like, if Noel was always what you were going to do, then I don't think it's bad to put a setup in that first movie. You know? Yeah, I don't know. And you said you enjoyed that movie, Venom 3. I do enjoy that movie. I actually think that movie's super fun, but I don't love what they did with Noel in that film. It's kind of cool that he's there. And it's like, there's some promising scenes, like when the one guy is like really scared of Noel and he's like trying to warn them and freak out. Like, that's kind of interesting. Venom's fear of Noel is kind of interesting. But I mean, dude, that movie opens and they just slam you in the face with exposition in a way that's like, yo, this is tough. This is tough. A little bit like Black Adam, actually. Black Adam, bro. Black Adam is, I like that movie a lot, but the first 10 minutes of Black Adam are tough. They're tough to get through. Would you recast Noel? Yeah. Yeah, I would, yeah. Maybe a new arrangement between Marvel and Sony could be that Marvel is allowed to use some of the characters related to Spider-Man. Yeah, no, that's what it is, yeah. How does Doomsday hit hard enough without the Doom Tony thing being in it? Sounds like piecemeal Marvel that will screw them. Again, I have a big video coming out about this. I'm trying to save some of what I've heard and some of the things for that video. But okay, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one little thing, but you got to promise to watch the video and you got to promise to watch it twice. If you all promise to watch the video twice, regardless, I will reveal something kind of interesting that I was thinking about. Do y'all remember that Vanity Fair article? It was the first time Downey had discussed coming back as Doctor Doom. Anybody remember this? Does anybody remember a line that Robert said where he said something like, and then I asked Kevin Feige, well, what about this and doing this thing? And then Kevin said, let's get Doom right first. In fact, let me see if I can pull that up. Does anybody remember what I'm talking about here? Hang on one second. I'm looking. Okay, let's see if we can find this. It was something like... Okay, here it is, here it is. I'll pull this up for you. So, Cosmic Book News. It's kind of interesting that they pulled this up, but this is a Cosmic Book News article where they're discussing the article here, okay? So, yeah, let's get Victor Von Doom right. Okay, I'll just read the full quote and then we'll explain what I'm saying. So he says, so probably a year ago, because, you know, Feige and I have kept in touch. We're pals. Favreau, Feige, and I have kept in touch. I'm close with the Russo brothers. We have other business we're doing, he explained. So there's this little group of fellow travelers, and I had this instinct that I wanted to go to Bob Iger, and I had an idea outside of the cinematic universe for how I could be of service to what's going on in the parks and location-based entertainment. Susan and I were sitting down with Feige at one point, and he said, it just keeps occurring to me that if you were to come back, and Susan and I were like, wait, come back as what? He continued, then we both realized over time that it was another thing that just disproves any doubt anyone could ever have about that guy, talking about Feige. It's very sophisticated, creative thinker, talking about Feige, about how can we not go backwards. How can we not disappoint expectations? How can we continue to beat expectations? Downey added, and he brought up Victor Von Doom. I looked up this character and was like, wow. Later, Kevin goes, let's get Dr. Doom right. Let's get that right. Okay, there's a piece missing here. Let me see if I can find it. The piece that's missing is probably edited out because it's sort of him trailing off. Yeah, there's definitely something missing here because I remember reading this specifically. Years ago, how can we not go backwards? Yeah, a lot of people are missing this. So in the actual interview, he says something like, wow, what about later, as Kevin says, okay? And what's implied there, at least to me, when I first heard this interview, was, because I believe it was an audio interview, actually, and they played the recording, and I think that's where I'm getting this from. But basically, RDJ says something like, I looked up this Doctor Doom character, and remember the context. He's talking about how if you were to return, beating expectations, being creative, right? So within the context of that, Downey says, so he brings up Victor Von Doom. I looked him up, and I said, wow, so later. Kevin says later. What's Kevin saying later to? And then he says, let's get Victor Von Doom right. Let's get that right. So he's kind of like saying, let's get Victor Von Doom right first, then later, right? Like, what's the later? Well, to me, the later is the connection. It's Doom and Tony. Okay? And so, like, the way that I'm seeing this, the way I'm thinking about this is, it was always inherent to him coming back as Doom that there was something he wanted to do, not going backwards, but surprising audiences and going forwards. And there was something about Doom and Tony that was like really interesting about that. That's to me what Downey was saying when he said, what about, and then Feige's like later. Okay, so how does this relate to your question about Doomsday versus Secret Wars? I think it's possible, and I think maybe this is the thinking of Kevin, this is the thinking of the Russo brothers. It might not have been the thinking of Downey, which is, I think, part of why that quote is the way that it is. But I think to the Russos and to Feige, you have to just wholly and completely get Victor Von Doom right first before then later revealing the connection between them. Because if you don't get Victor Von Doom right, to a lot of the audience, it's not going to be meaningful. It's not actually going to hit when I tell you that our Tony Stark was always Victor. Until you know by reputation, by association, by knowing Doctor Doom, why that's a fucking problem, you're not going to appreciate the twist. So to me, well, we'll save the rest for the video. But that's kind of the thinking that I have. There's a lot of little comments like this. There's a lot of little reasons why I think this is what they're doing. And so your question is, so how can this movie be satisfying? Well, because it's a part one, essentially. And it is there to really establish Victor. And then it's going to recontextualize Tony. That's what I think. So, anyways, are we still talking about Venom? What the hell? This isn't the back half of the Venom video? Good. Nobody will watch it. No, everyone will not be watching the clip at this point anyway. So, ha! Oh my God. We're not even at the final topic yet. I'm tired. I might have to go I got to put a coffee on. We're over 2 hours. All right. I'm just going to put an espresso on. Not a full coffee. Okay. An espresso. So I'll pull up chat on screen so you guys can see yourself and entertain yourself. Let me go freshen up my coffee here. Just get an espresso. Because like I have the Nespresso machine, but you can actually get the little ones that are the actual espresso and the espresso. So let me just do that real quick. I'll be right back. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Just I'll be right back. Oh my God, I do look orange. What the hell happened? I'll adjust these lights, don't worry. Why do you think only RDJ is going to be Doctor Doom in the movie? Well, let's get into that. That's a good way to start this new news segment. Let's see here. Doctor Dooms to have multiple masked sidekicks in Avengers Doomsday. Interesting. Hang on. That's quite pleasant. Oh, that's quite pleasant. Okay, look, we're about to talk about Doom and all the masked people and all the rumors and all that, but just for a second while I'm enjoying this here. Like, how you guys doing, man? You guys all right out there? Are you guys doing okay? Has it been a good stream? Are you all mad? Because I don't want Warhammers to have the ladies, the femstodes? That's nice. So Doom uses a voice modulator and doesn't take his mask off until end of Doomsday. Got it. I didn't say that shit. At work, you keeping. Huh? Well, I'm glad I'm keeping you. Whatever I'm keeping. Can we pause and appreciate the return of the Emperor, Joker, and Batman who laughs and DCKO? That's spoilers! Yeah, that is pretty cool, though. Oh, keeping you going? Right on, brother. Right on. Right on, brother. The hell's this?
Blew me away. 40K, Warhammer. If they make something out of that, you've got something else that's...
Well, I'm actually working on Warhammer 40K. Okay, so...
I was going to say that. No, I was going to bring that up as well. Did you come out... Was the MAK thing... Do you think that there's something about the quality of both of these things? Because they're very similar.
Yeah, I had to pick one or the other. So and focus on Warhammer.
Right, but in a way, the again, did you play Warhammer?
No, but I could just see the value of turning that into something bigger.
Blew me away. 40K Warhammer. If they make something out of that, you've got something else that's...
Well, I'm actually working on Warhammer 40K. Okay, so...
I was going to say that. No, I was going to bring that up as well. Did you come out... Was the MAK thing... Do you think that there's something about the quality of both of these things? Because they're very similar.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. That's really cool. Now I have to hit up Robert Meyer Burnett. Maybe I shouldn't have talked all that shit. Although I didn't talk too much shit, did I? Probably just the regular amount of shit. You know? We can still be friends, Rob. Hey, Rob, we can still be friends, bro. If you like Warhammer, you're cool with me. And there's a lot of shiny cod pieces and, crotch type gear, too. So I think John would be get into it as well. All right. Shall we get into this Doctor Doom shit here? What do you think? What do you think? Josh, how dare you as a man want more manly stuff? I know, it's wild, dog. It's wild. Fuck yeah, let's make some donuts. Are you ready? Are you ready, chat? Okay, so we got an interesting update to an ongoing story. This is a rumor that we've heard a lot about. When this rumor was first reported, it was reported by Daniel Pooper Scooper RPK, and he was talking about female variants of Doctor Doom. Okay, now look, man, as soon as he put this shit out there, a lot of other people kind of came out and gave backlash. Gary from Nerd Erotic said this is not true at all. I had some people tell me it wasn't true. I had some people tell me it was true, but then, kind of reading between the lines, what I kind of thought was going on was that Daniel was once again taking something he heard and delivering it in the most, in a way that would cause a kerfuffle online. He was stirring the pot. And frankly, he's in the business of getting clicks, but also, Daniel is one of these people that wants all the custodians to be female. And so he wants to make people like me mad. He wants to make the dude bros, the chud people mad. And the idea of a female Doctor Doom, it fucking gets me mad, brother. It really does. So when we first heard about these reports, I was like, I don't know about this shit, okay? And there were other people that told me behind the scenes that there would be some henchmen of Doom. There would be 3 of them that were female. One would be in a green cloak, one would be in a purple cloak, and then one would be in a golden cloak. They would all have Dr. Doom masks, but there were also 2 other variants mentioned within this group. One was a variant that had a mask where the mouthpiece was cut off, seemingly so this version of Doom would be able to speak, maybe the court gesture, or maybe just a person that's there to translate. And then there was another variant of Doom that had horns, also in a mask, but had horns. Okay? And I was like, wow, this is kind of interesting. You know, Daniel's saying this thing. Gary's saying it's not females. I'm hearing that there's truth to the story. Then after that, Rocha confirmed 2 of them. I think he confirmed the purple and the green ones. He never confirmed the one in the gold. But anyway, what I'm saying is, like, this is an ongoing theme. People have talked about this. Alex had sort of hinted that Doom would have other people that were wearing the masks. And so over the weekend, Daniel said on his Patreon, Dr. Doom reportedly has multiple masked sidekicks, men and women, in Avengers Doomsday, but it's unclear if they're a cult of followers or variants of Dr. Doom. Man, is Daniel learning? Or are we just keeping the pressure on this motherfucker so he can't just get away with his same old tricks? I don't know, but I appreciate this. I wish this was the way it had first been reported. Imagine if instead of saying there's going to be female variants of Dr. Doom in Doomsday, if Daniel had said Dr. Doom reportedly has multiple masked sidekicks, men and women, and it's unclear if they're a cult of followers or variants of Dr. Doom. If he had reported it that way originally, I would not have given him any shit. Okay, so now he's reporting this. And so now we're like, okay, well, what's the deal with this? Well, we sort of talked about this before, but this piece of concept art here came out in a sea of other leaks where the person was drawing the images of the thing that they saw from behind the scenes. I don't know if you remember that. This was a thing. These images here do appear to be what was described to me. At least the one wearing purple, and maybe that's the one that's wearing gold. But as I pointed out before, the one that's wearing gold there, that kind of looks like red to me. And if it is red, then that kind of changes the calculus here of who might be behind that mask. Okay? So, let's consider the possibilities. Do we think these are Doom variants? It's possible some of them are. Okay, it is legitimately possible that there are some Doom variants. In fact, like, there's a part of, there's like, I have this like kind of like gut instinct feeling going on that maybe the one with the mouth removed is RDJ as well. Remember when RDJ shared that birthday invitation and there was that really weird variant of Doom that had the weird curly hair? And then at his actual birthday party, RDJ looked like that version of Doom with the curly hair. Well, that version of Doom also had a golden mask. And that comic that RDJ had shared did have a bunch of Victor Von Doom variants there. So, partially because of RDJ sharing that stuff, partially because it could be the case that there are Doom variants in this film, and we've technically seen other Doom variants, right, through the Fantastic Four movies. I'm kind of thinking there could be some variants, but also these are probably like a cult of Doom, or just Dr. Doom followers and henchmen that he has working for him. There were also some rumors and theories, and this is where we got to get careful because some of this stuff came from Majestic and James Mack. And again, it's just, I don't know, guys. I just don't know. I don't think they're reliable. They could have some stuff right. But if they do have stuff right, it's probably just stuff they got from other people. I don't think they have sources. But one of the things he said was that Clea was going to turn on Doom. Sylvie was going to turn on Doom. I think the Sylvie thing's probably true because that predates Majestic and some of them talking about it. So maybe we're looking at Clea and she's behind that mask. Maybe there's a variant of Loki that has horns and he's behind that mask. Maybe there's a Doctor Strange that's behind that mask. I could see a scenario in which Doom has all of these followers. And we kind of see them throughout the film, right? And then at some point in the movie, they reveal who they are, and it's shocking. Like maybe one of them is Scarlet or the Scarlet Witch, and we're like, "Yo, that's wild." Maybe one is Sylvan. We're like, yo, that's wild. Maybe one is Clea. And we're like, that's wild. Maybe it's even crazier than that, right? Like maybe it's literally Femke, and she is Phoenix, but she's Dark Phoenix. Maybe she's dead in that X-Men universe, but she's there from a different universe working with Doctor Doom. Like, that would be crazy, and that would kind of tie into the multiversal Masters of Evil, which on that point, and a lot of you already know where I'm going with this, but we have some indicators that elements from Avengers Forever with Avengers Prime Loki and the Doom Above All Dooms and the multiversal Masters of Evil, there are elements of that are being adapted for Avengers Doomsday. I think the multiversal Avengers at the end of time fighting against Doom's team, I think that's real. That predates Majestic and James Mack and all those people. That's like Alex Perez stuff. That's stuff that he talked about for a long time. I think it's real. What I can't quite place here, what I don't fully understand, is like, we just got the images from the Fantastic Four trailer, and I don't know if you all saw this, but there's like parts of the trailer that seem like there was stuff taken out digitally, and it actually seems like they did kind of a shitty job at it, because you could see some like artificing in the horizon and stuff like that. Did you all see that? So some people are saying, oh, well, they removed Doctor Doom and his ship, the Fantastic Four rocket, Excelsior 1 or whatever they're calling it, from that shot where Ben Grimm, remember? It seems like Ben Grimm's on like the one side of the screen. It's like really seems like a lot of weird empty space on the right side of the frame when Ben Grimm is introducing himself to M'Baku. There's even some people like Alex hinting that maybe Doom is in that shot. I think Manabite has hinted, Jeremy Conrad, that Doom is in that shot. So what I can't understand, what I'm kind of trying to figure out is like, okay, so let's just assume whether they're variants or whether they're secret, allies of the Avengers or whatever, there's a bunch of people that are working for Doctor Doom that have the mask, that are wearing cloaks similar to this. And that's probably connected to what Daniel said about Doom having these other Dooms, whether they're variants or cult followers, okay? Well, are they with Doom the whole time? Are they with Doom the whole time? Are they also in the shot with the Fantastic Four and Victor as he's introducing himself to them? I mean, I kind of don't think so. Like, what do you guys think? I kind of don't think so. Okay? I think this is likely connected to something I still believe to be true, despite all the rumors and the fake scoopers and everything that threw us off. I still believe that Victor has like a secret plan, that there's stuff he's keeping from other folks, right? So that kind of implies that what's going on with these masked characters is going to be something that's like later revealed later on in the film. Seemingly after the real plan comes out, because like it kind of seems like Doom goes into the Fantastic Four universe, right? And he's like, I'm the last survivor of this universe. The incursions are happening and we're totally screwed. So I need your help, Fantastic Four. I need your help, Reed Richards, to help fix the incursions. And guess what? We need to go to 616 because we need their help too, because it's this X-Men universe that's destroying all the universes. Right? And if that's what it is, like, does Doom show up in the Fantastic Four universe with all his posse as well? I don't know. Like, you see why it's a little confusing? I am really not sure. I'm really not sure how it's all going to go down. But I will tell you that a lot of people have teased that this is real and that this will end up being a reveal. So one way that this could go, and that would be really, really cool, is like if these characters were all there, okay, and this masked one and the purple's there and the masked one and the red is there and they're all there for the whole movie, but they're just kind of in the background, or they're just helping Doom, or they're supporting Doom. And then we get to like the end of the film and they all take off their masks and it's like, oh my God, it's the Scarlet Witch. Oh my God, it's Clea. And that one was Doctor Strange the whole time. And they're all just working for Victor Von Doom. That would be pretty badass. That would be a pretty cool twist. That would be pretty wild. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know. I think it probably makes more sense if, at least for the first act and maybe part of the second act, Victor is seemingly on his own. Aren't you more apt to help a guy that's on his own? What do you guys think? Like what? Yeah, like the Death Eaters. Like, what do you guys think of this? This is a fascinating part of the movie. And again, I think this is real. This is coming from Daniel. They have masks, sidekicks, men and women. Does he have it for the duration of the movie? Is it part of the reveal that's going to happen later on in the movie? I don't know. I don't know. But either way, I'm excited. I think this is cool. I mean, so the way I think of it is, I think it's going to be in the back half. I don't think it's going to initially be there, but maybe it will be something that happens as Doom reveals more and more of his plan. And then I love the idea of them taking the masks off, and then it's revealed that there are characters we know. That could be really interesting. Like, look, I'll tell you one rumor that's out there that's kind of wild, and we have not talked a lot about this, but it's starting to be suggested by some of these rumors that Peggy Carter might be one of these. And if that's the case, I mean, bro, did Victor go get a variant of Peggy to fight against Steve because he knew Steve wouldn't be able to kill Peggy? Bro, if that's what it is, then is he doing the same thing with the Scarlet Witch, where he's going to fight against Magneto, but then ultimately he's going to use the Scarlet Witch to fight against Magneto? That's pretty wild. That's pretty interesting. I wonder if there are any other characters that have a male or female character that would get them to let their guard down. And then there's questions about the evil Avengers, right? A Hydra version of Captain America, maybe like an evil version of Hawkeye, an evil version of Black Widow. Jane Foster. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I wonder how Thor would deal with Jane Foster, masked Doctor Doom person. Yeah. Pepper Potts. Pepper Potts. Wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah, I don't know, man. There's some juice here. There's some juice here for show. Faux show. Really quite interesting. So I guess we'll just wait and see as we get more info. It's Heather. Oh, my God. Vision? No. I'm sticking with Doom bots. Doom's ego is too bloated to let anyone else take the credit for being behind the mask. Yeah, there's something to that. So in the Avengers Forever run, in the Doom Above All Dooms, there's this moment where the Doom that gets captured, who's a Man-Thing Doom, goes to kill some of the Doom bots in the room, and then realizes they're not Doom bots. And then what you realize is that the Doom Above All Doom is going around the multiverse collecting up variants of himself, only to then have them lose their minds, become subservient to him, cut out their own tongues, and basically act as though they are Doom bots. Right? So maybe it's a mixture, you know? But I thought, as we were, because we talked about this rumor a lot, I thought it would be so cool if at the end of the movie, one of the multiversal Avengers characters kills, oh man, this just popped into my head and it's kind of crazy. Okay, so we're talking about Femke Jean Grey, right? So what if the multiversal Avengers at the end in a third act, what if Logan, the one from Deadpool and Wolverine, is one of them? And what if he has to fight against the Jean Grey and he can't like actually do it or whatever, right? Oh, that would be really, really cool. So maybe it's a combination. Like maybe it's Doom grabbing up these variants for the purpose of throwing off or shocking or ruining the heroes. But maybe it's also variants of Doom, like it was in the other book. And maybe there'll be this moment where one of them goes to kill one of the Doom bots, and then we realize that they're not Doom bots, that they're actual people. That would be pretty wild. That would be pretty wild. Ryan Hurst will play Kratos. That is cool. Who's Ryan Hurst, though? Should I know him? Should I know this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this Ryan Hurst guy? Ryan Hurst. Oh, hang on. Who is this guy? Okay, meet your Kratos. What's he in? Like was he in Vikings or some shit? Seems like good casting. He looks to be oh wow. Dang, that's cool. Remember the Titans? What? He's in Remember the Titans? Read the chat? Well, what? Why would I do that? He voiced Thor in Ragnarok. Wow. They're all the children that Doom takes from the heroes aged up? Oh my god! That would be devastating. Ryan Hurst is an asshole? Great. Perfect. Perfect. What if we get an RDJ Doom for the first part of the movie that's doing the grunt work, and then later the real RDJ comes out taking everything for himself and effing shit up? How do you feel? Yeah, something like that could work. The trouble is, like, you don't want to be too complicated to the point that, like, the audience just rolls their eyes and they check out. You do want it to feel shocking and it to be satisfying, but yeah. Yeah. Look, it looks good to me, dude. I love I've never like played the God of War games, but I love the lore of them, and Kratos is such a cool character. And I mean, that's an Amazon, John, isn't it? So hopefully, yeah, it's a Prime Video thing. So hopefully it's really, really good and it appreciates the lore and all that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Should be fun. All right, any last minute thoughts here? Any last minute thoughts on this whole subject of Doom, the variants, and all that stuff? Any last minute thoughts? Read the chat. Josh, have you heard the rumor that you, the viewer, are set to make a cameo in Doomsday? Wait, what? I feel like they wouldn't have showed Dreamwalking in Doctor Strange 2, specifically Dreamwalking into a dead variant, if it wasn't going to be important later on, maybe used in Doomsday. Thoughts? Yeah, I think so. I hope that's one of the things that's addressed. I think it's a pretty interesting concept. So, funny thing about that is Age of Ultron, right? That vision that Tony has, and then the vision in the cave. I looked at a lot of different interviews where he refers to that, Joss Whedon refers to that as a dream. He keeps specifically calling it a dream sequence and not a vision. And then in Infinity War, when Tony has the dream that he and Pepper had a son, the Russo brothers were asked about that, and their answer was interesting. They said, it's just a dream, but dreams are strange things, I think is what they said. implying that there's something about dreams. I would argue that Russo's knew about the dream walking and the dream concept that Marvel was kind of cooking there. I would also argue this is something that maybe even Joss Whedon was either aware of, or he was at the very least aware that Marvel and Kevin and Parliament were like, it's a dream. Yes, quite interesting. Yes, quite interesting. Doom is alpha. I agree. Have you heard? Oh, wait, no, I already saw that one. Age of Ultron will definitely get callbacks, especially in Vision Quest. Yeah, I think that... I actually think around Age of Ultron is when they did most of the heavy lifting on the long-term story and sort of like the show Bible of Marvel Studios overall, which is a part of why that movie took so much out of Joss Whedon, and why it was like such a crazy thing. But yeah. Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow going to be Victor's wife that dies? I don't think so. I think it's Sue Storm. But maybe. Josh, is there anything you absolutely need to have happen to make this Doom good? You mean like RTG's variant of Doom? I think he needs to be super petty. He needs to be super powerful. He needs to have aura and swagger. I think those are the most important things, really. Hey, Josh, what do you think about Campia consistently stating most of the leaks out there, even some of the biggest ones that are treated as fact, are categorically wrong? Yeah, I actually addressed this whole thing there. So you can watch the clip later today. I'll drop the clip on the Clips channel. I also have a big video that's kind of breaking down some of this too. Look, I think at the end of the day, Campia is right. And unfortunately, some of the new scoopers like Majestic and James Mack, I think they really led us astray. I think they said some shit that's not true. And so I don't know exactly what Campy is referring to. I wish he would just say it. But I think we'll probably all find out soon, right? But yeah, there's probably some stuff that we currently believe will be in the movie that's not in the movie. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, man. Josh, how do you cope with unemployment? Man, it's really tough. You know, I had a lot of bad bosses. And I think for most folks, your boss is actually the most tyrannical figure in your life. This is actually, when I heard people bring up this point and like actually break it down like this one time, it like really changed the way I thought about my job and about, you know, having a boss and everything like that. So for most people, your boss is the most tyrannical force in your life. Okay. And now I'm my own boss, and you guys should know, man, I am a real fucking tyrant. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just deal with it by being like, well, I have the worst boss I've ever had, but it's also me, so I can't get that upset about it. My boss is great, fortunately. Dude, seriously, count yourself super lucky if that's the case. I think, honestly, like if life was a game and it was like an RPG or whatever, having a good boss is like very, very important to your well-being, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts on Mike Tomlin stepping down? I mean, I already kind of talked about this. I think it's probably the best for everybody. I have a lot of love, a lot of respect for Tomlin, but at the same time, I would like a new culture that is, I don't know, I guess holds people to account a little bit more, and that really just requires excellence and execution. I think some of the things that have been happening with that organization over the past 5 to 6 years have not been great. Yeah. I currently have a great boss too. That's wonderful, man. That's awesome. I seriously think that's a really important part of life. And you know what you should do? If you have a great boss, maybe let him know. Like literally, maybe just be like, you know, I heard this crazy guy on YouTube say the other day that your boss is like a tyrant in your life. And it just made me realize I really appreciate you for being a pretty cool boss. You could be way worse, and it would legitimately make my life a lot worse. So thanks for being pretty chill. I bet they'd appreciate hearing that. You know what I'm saying? The boss should be letting his employees know he is great. What? So no one thinks it could be Sylvie. I know I'm late. No, it could be Sylvie. It absolutely could be Sylvie, yeah. Yo, Primal is good. Primal's good. Yeah. Amazon skipping the Greek mythology is crazy, though. That's what made God of War and Kratos a household name. And just skipping the saga and going straight into fatherhood Kratos is garbage. Oh, is that what they're doing? Yeah, that kind of sucks. But maybe there's a way they could still do that within the Greek. Because that happens with the Nordic gods, right? The kid and all that, that's with like Odin and all that shit, right? So maybe they could do the kid, but just make it with the Greeks. What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, I don't know too much about Bret Hart, actually. Yeah. All right, well, I think that's probably a good stopping place on this Doctor Doom rumor. Yeah, final thoughts on this is it's definitely real. I mean, there's just so much smoke here that there has to be some fire. So it's real. And at this point, I think Daniel's most recent report is probably the most accurate one. I don't think they're variants, although there could be some variants sprinkled in there. I think these are cult worshippers or henchmen. And I also think there's a strong possibility that they are characters that, when revealed, will be very shocking that they were working for Doctor Doom. Like a Peggy Carter, that would be very shocking. Sylvie, maybe a little bit shocking. I think Elizabeth Olsen would be really shocking, even though there's a lot of rumors out there that that's what it is. So yeah, that's kind of my final thoughts. That's my final thoughts on that shit. 28 minutes on that segment? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Y'all should have stopped me from yapping. Can you give a my name is Dome on your way out? Yeah, there you go, bud. My name is Dome. I can't wait to hear that for the first time. My name is Dome. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Thanks yous for being here. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the questions, member chats, super chats, memberships. Thank you for all of that. I'll post some clips. By the way, big video on the main channel breaking down the 4 teaser trailers for Doomsday, because they're not teaser trailers. The Russos said, no, they're not teasers. They're not trailers. And you're stupid for thinking that. So go watch that video where I break it down. What are the stories? What are the clues? What are they trying to say? Let me know. And let me know your thoughts about it. Really appreciate you. Much love. No stream tomorrow. It's a Unity day. I must work on Unity. What's Unity? Oh, it's only the greatest, bestest comic book ever. A new IP and franchise that's unabashedly masculine. We ain't got no female bullshit, custodian bullshit in Unity. You know why? Because I control it. But the ladies are welcome too, but they gotta understand it's dude bro. It is. Unity is very dude bro. And it's the next big thing. It's the next Warhammer. It's the next Marvel. It's the next Game of Thrones. It's the next Star Wars. Unity. And yes, it's also really fucking delayed, so I gotta work on it tomorrow to get it out there. But we'll be back at it on Friday. And it should be a really good stream. Until then, take care of yourself. As I always say, I hope you, that's right, you, are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you, that's right, you, in the next video. But why can't Dr. Doom be a girl? Why can't Spider-Man be a girl? Why can't Hulk be a girl? What if Cyclops was a girl? Wolverine should be a girl. What if it was all girls? Girls, hello. Girls just want to have fun. And I just want to have fun by making everything into a girl. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, another happy landing. Oh man. Another lovely day in Nerd Avengers Tower. Oh, I'm feeling good. Hope you're feeling good too. Hope you had a good time. And you know what? I think we'll do it again. Go on and get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. I think it's going to be a good one. We'll be back at it on Friday. And also, you know what? Can you do me a favor on your way out? Actually, make it two. Make it two. Two favors. I got 2 favors. I need 2 favors. Number 1, open up your third eye. And the other one, equally as important, wash out your stinky butt.